right, we're going to call this public hearing to order. Forgive me. This purpose of this public hearing is to receive public remarks regarding the fiscal year 2023 and 24 tax levies, which are unchanged. The tax rate for all real and personal and business property is remaining the same, or intends to remain the same for this upcoming budget year. However, if anyone would like to make a remark in regard to those levies, you may do so publicly here now or via telephone 276-337.
It's 333
333
0357.
0357. And the floor is open physically and the telephone lines are open.
Don't you all speak up at once. I'm just joking.
It's nothing. I'm gonna ask it to be stricken. Will you tell her that? She didn't.
Oh, okay. I didn't know whose it was.
We could do this
You
democratically.
gonna take it out?
Yeah, I'm gonna ask for it today. Go ahead, Mr.
We
Blunt.
could do this democratically. All those that want us to raise taxes, raise your hand. I didn't think so.
There's some that do out there.
I haven't had anyone say to raise them, though. Have you had?
Well, no, but, I mean,
Yeah. I can think of something.
yeah.
Hey, how are you?
Bill went for that.
Got more issues too, other stuff.
Hey, how are you? Mr. Mullins, my suggestions, we go to about 5:50. Are there any calls yet?
No.
If there is one, just grab my attention. If not, about 5:50, if someone wants to make a motion to adjourn, we'll adjourn, if that's okay with everybody.
Okay. Is Dana gonna be here tonight? Is Dana coming tonight?
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion, we adjourn.
Sir, is there a second?
I second it.
One last call for any remarks. Mr. Mullins? No calls. All those in favor of adjourning, or any other discussion? All those in favor of adjourning this public comment, or excuse me, public hearing on the tax levies, please signify by saying aye. Aye as well. Madam Clerk, the public hearing will be adjourned and we will start our regular meeting at 6 p.m.
Mr. Chair.
All right, it is now
Babysit.
6 PM. We will call this regular monthly meeting of the Dickinson County Board of Supervisors to order. If we will, let's bow our heads and join our hearts in a brief word of prayer this afternoon. Heavenly Father, we thank you for this beautiful day that you've given us. We thank you for our health, our well-being. I thank you for each member here represented and each individual and their households represented here tonight. I ask you to bless this meeting, be over us as we make decisions for the county. I ask that you be with each individual that's dealing with any sort of health issue, any family member on our board or in our county that's dealing with any medical issue. I ask you to be with them. Please be with our leaders, our military members, our law enforcement, our first responders. Please protect them as they protect our community and our citizens. And I hope that everything that's done here this evening is pleasing to you. It's in Jesus' name I pray. Amen. Mr. Peters, will you assure us?
Everyone rise and face the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, that'll take us to item number 2, which would be approval of minutes from our public hearing and regular meeting in February. Are there any issues or concerns with those minutes?
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion that we approve both minutes.
Yes, sir, thank you. Motion, Mr. Peters, is there a second?
I'll second the motion.
Any other discussion in regard to those 2 sets of minutes? Hearing none, all those in favor of approval of those minutes, please signify by saying aye. Aye as well. That brings us to item 3, approval of our agenda. Madam Clerk, members of the board, I would ask that we strike through item 8H. There was a potential issue that has been resolved that I'd asked that piece to be on there, and I'm asking it to be stricken, please.
8H, you said?
Yes, sir.
It's on the addendum, Mr. Peters.
It's on
It would be on
the
the
agenda.
addendum.
So,
Other than that, I have no other amendments or
Mr. Chair?
modifications. Yes, sir.
I would like to add, I think it'd probably go on, do we have an other? Or,
There could be old business maybe, or we can add a other, whatever you want.
well, I need to discuss, I can do it during VDOT session because it's a road issue.
That's fine. Do you want to put
So I
it
can do
specifically
that.
on there, or you just want to wait and talk about it then?
I can talk
Okay.
during that because I would need to get a study done. And do you have something on, that you need to add for that playground or that children play?
No, she's
Okay.
getting me the stuff together. We'll do that next month.
Okay, got it. That's good. That's all I got.
Ms. Wills,
I'm sorry.
any modifications?
I don't have any.
Ms. Sluss?
No.
Okay, with the scratching of 8H, there are no other formal modifications. Is there a motion to approve the agenda with 8H deleted?
I make a motion that we approve the agenda as presented.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Any other issues or concerns, Mr. Barton?
No, sir.
All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye as well. That'll bring us to item 4, which is our consent agenda piece. Mr. Barton, is there any issues that you would like to highlight in the consent agenda portion, or any questions any members have for Mr. Barton in the consent agenda portion?
No, nothing out of the ordinary on this, just a standard report each month, so.
I'd like to say I'm very impressed with the litter pickup.
I have been very pleased as well.
They picked up almost double the bags they did last month, didn't they?
I was very impressed. If there's no other comments on that one, I'll make a motion that we approve all of the consent agenda.
I'll second it.
Okay, is there any other questions, concerns, or remarks about the consent agenda?
No, I just agree with Ms. Willis and you on and Ms. Sluss on the number. I went back and looked. They did 278 bags in February, up to 570 this time. And same way with the animals. They had 22 picked up by the shelter of dogs and 6 cats. This month it went to 41 and 11.
Yeah, I noticed that the animal
Those
picked up also.
increases.
This isn't a piece necessarily, this is the most appropriate place though to make this comment. Larry, I've been all over the county, doing my thing, and the people that had bragged on the convenience center has been really
Encouraging.
overwhelming. The guys are keeping it empty. It seems to be staying clean. There's nobody bothering the bass club, knock on wood so far. We've done a good job on that, all of us, I think. I've heard a lot of people brag on that.
That's good.
You know, you don't ever hear good stuff, but that's something I've heard
I've
consistently.
heard several people say that they were glad we did that also.
It's good. Gives
All
people
right.
a place after hours. So.
We had a motion, I think, Mr. Peters, seconded by Ms. Willis, right, on the consent
Yes.
agenda. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. As well. That brings us to item 5, a presentation by the Heart of Appalachia. Ms. Smith, good afternoon. How are you doing?
Good, how are you?
You have a good trip over?
Yes. had a
Good.
trip over.
The floor is yours.
I was just going to say, my name is Kim Smith. I'm the interim executive director of Heart of Appalachia, and I really appreciate you all having me tonight. I was just going to brag on you all because on the drive over, I got into Dickinson County a little early, and I drove down to the Crane's Nest campgrounds. As a recent camper myself, I went to check it out, and just what a beautiful early spring drive down to the campground. And it is so clean, and I've been around to a lot of the counties lately, and a lot of them are really struggling with the litter issue. So to really see how clean that is a great testament to you all, because that does play in heavily to tourism, which is what I do, of course.
Thank you.
So I am here just to give you a very brief update. I gave each of you a folder, or Miss Dana did. Heart of Appalachia, we underwent some changes back in 2022, and we downsized the organization. But we are taking a very data-driven approach moving forward to marketing. I'm a firm believer that if we're receiving money from the state and from the localities, then we need to be able to show where that money is going and what effect it's having on your locality. So on the right side of your folder, you'll see we did an economic impact study late in 2022, and it is for 2021 visitor spending in the region. The tourism impact of visitor spending in the region for Dickinson County was $14.7 million. And if you look at the page just behind that, for the region we represent, which is the 7 westernmost counties and the city of Norton, the visitor spending in 2021 had an impact of $253 million on the region as a whole. So those are very impressive numbers. We were very, very surprised and pleased when we got those numbers back. As far as Heart of Appalachia, we've increased our social media presence by 230% last year on Appalachian Backroads, and we increased it by 117% for Heart of Appalachia. We distributed and mailed, actually it says 80,000 pieces of print material, but it wound up being over 81,000 pieces. And we already have over 7,000 direct requests to our office this year since the beginning of the year for the Appalachian Backroads maps and the Heart of Appalachia magazines. So we really stand at a time when there's a lot of visitor interest in our region and in the mountains and the outdoors and the ability to get away from the crowds. And it's really up to us to, to keep that interest captive and keep ourselves ahead of it. And that's what Heart of Appalachia tries to do. And if you all need the full economic impact study, for grants or for anything like that, we are more than happy to provide it. But I'm just here to say, we're here to partner with you. We appreciate Dickinson County's partnership in the past. And you all have my contact information in the folder. If you need anything moving forward, please feel free to reach out to me.
Thank you. Any members have anything for Ms.
I'll just say one thing, and this has been a while ago, but you guys do an awesome job marketing our stuff around the country. I've shared this in a meeting last term. I can remember sitting up at my family reunion at a meeting place that we always meet at, and there on the TV was your guys' commercial advertising our trails down there.
Right.
And thank you.
You're very welcome.
Ms. Kim, I have a question. So for those folks who may be at home that are listening that don't know exactly what it is that Heart of Appalachia does in the region and specifically for Dickinson County, would you describe that just a little bit so that they know kind of what the purpose is and how really that we benefit and how it all kind of ties back together?
Absolutely. Yeah, Heart of Appalachia was founded by the Virginia General Assembly in 1993 to market the 7 westernmost counties and the city of Norton as a coal field or as a tourism destination. So we do that in a variety of different ways. One of the ways that impacts all of the counties as a whole is our Appalachian Backroads Initiative. And that is basically taking these beautiful curvy roads that we already have, there's no cost to this, and packaging those up in a way that we can market it to motorcycle riders and sports car enthusiasts throughout the nation, and even into Canada and into Japan. So we very closely track the analytics from that. We know where the people are coming to our website from. We know what routes they're looking at. And the routes that run through Russell and Dickinson County are some of the most popular routes. So anytime you see a group of motorcycle riders out there, there's a good chance that we're behind the marketing that brought them into the businesses here in Dickinson County. And Heart of Appalachia as a whole, we do market, the events, the Jetty Baker Center. I work closely with Nathan Stanley. I'm going to be working with Ralph Stanley moving forward on the Hills of Home Festival. We go market those at the IBMA Festival in Raleigh every year, and to drop Facebook ads on those big bluegrass festivals that are marketing our festivals and events that are going on, we find that to be highly effective. So we're working behind the scenes. If I know there's a fiddlers convention going on in Galax, then I can make an ad for Hills of Home Festival and drop that on that area so that when people enter that area, then they're getting served up the ad for the Hills of Home Festival.
Do you have any data that shows, so I'm thinking about IBMA, right? For example, do you have data that backs up and supports, what type of traffic that appearing and presenting at that conference or that event brings back to the region?
I'll tell you a great story about IBMA. So last year I was running an ad for Appalachian Backroads in Canada because organically we started getting some traffic from Canada to our website. So I was just going to capitalize on that a little bit and fill it out and see what the interest was. So I ran that ad for about 7 days at a cost of about $100, and we got a great response to it. And I'm at IBMA working the Heart of Appalachia table and handing out, maps and brochures and information about, Hills of Home Festival and Blue Highway Fest and all the regional events. And this couple comes up to me and they say, "We recognize this map." And it was the Appalachian Backroads map. So they had seen the ad in Canada and had come to IBMA and then came to Blue Highway Fest in Big Stone Gap because of that.
Wow.
So that's a very real connection that we made. And most of the time I'm looking at data and the kind of story behind the scenes. So it's not very often I actually get to hug the person who, came from Canada to come see us. And that was
Excuse me, what's IMBA?
IBMA. It's the International Bluegrass Music Association.
Sorry, I didn't know what that was.
Yeah, and it happens every year in Raleigh, and it's attended by thousands and thousands and thousands. And not only is it a great place to market our events, it's also a great place to kind of network with the artists, for your venues and your festivals and things like that to bring in new artists to the region.
Is that where Bernadine and
It
Jack
is.
went?
Yes, Jack and Bernadine go with us every year and do a fantastic job.
Yeah, they do.
Oh, yeah.
And Mr. Chair, just one more comment on her presentation. If you look at the flyers that she gave us, do the photos look familiar?
They should.
Looks like the brakes.
And we actually, today, I just sent, I sent Rita a bunch of high-res photos today for her new publication she's working on, so some photos that we own.
What's that?
I'm joking.
Okay.
I do think you probably work close with Rita Surratt.
Yes, we do. We sure do.
And your office is located where?
In St. Paul.
St. Paul. So you're working close with Blue and Jesse.
Yes.
Wallace.
Yeah. We see, anytime I pass by that office, I have to go around if I don't want to get grabbed in for conversation.
We need to get the new building.
We are, right now, we have the Tobacco Commission funding. The ARC funding is in the contracting phase, and we are waiting to hear on EDA funding. Morgan Griffiths, Aide Thatcher, he's kind of shaking down the EDA to see if he can get an answer for us. We were supposed to know 2 weeks ago, but that's what we're waiting on right now. But hopefully when that comes through, we'll be breaking ground maybe this fall.
Awesome.
Over $14.5 million in visitor spending. That's incredible.
It's very incredible.
I mean, that's-
And this is a third-party study with a group out of Tennessee.
Yeah, how did they come up with this number?
They just, they went with Virginia tourism numbers, and they also tied in, this is direct, indirect, and induced spending. So direct spending would be like someone comes here to, say, go to the Breaks Interstate Park, and they stop and, they spend money at the park, they stop and get gas, they eat at a restaurant. And then it goes on down to, like, your waitress at the restaurant, she's earning wages that comes from that money. So it goes on, it shows how the money flows through the economy.
We would like to see this increase, really, especially when it comes to taxes generated, job supported. I think you guys do a great job. I just think it's quite interesting that we have, I think we should, in the county, we ought to have more overlooks. Because, like when you come up, I don't know how you came in, but when you come up top of Date Mountain.
I came across State Mountain.
Okay,
Yeah.
that view, that vista, that view.
It's beautiful. It really is. I was tempted to stop and take a picture.
We need an overlook there.
You do. That would be great.
And there's some other places in the county that we need to overlook, but that is one that I always, when I come to the top and see that, and I think, oh, it's so beautiful.
Oh, yeah.
And that's something we need to
Well,
look at.
that is directly on one of our motorcycle routes. So that would give them they like to pull off at the top of a mountain like that and kind of rest and talk a little bit. So that would be a great place for them to do that. Okay?
Thank you so much.
Thank you all
Thank
so
you.
much.
Thank you.
Happy to have you. All right, that'll bring us to item number 6, public comment. Tell you what, let's do Mr. Belcher. Informally, Mr. Sturgill, I don't think there's any issue for, let's swap 6 and 7.
That's fine.
And then after Mr. Belcher gives his remarks, we'll see if anybody wants to make a comment after that. That way we don't get bogged down and asking him questions, and let's let him present, and then we'll do public comment. Is that okay with you, Wade?
Yeah, that's fine.
And-
Somebody might have a comment, too.
Yeah, exactly, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So, Wade, I appreciate you being here for the public's information. This is Mr. Wade Belcher. He just was promoted to the assistant resident administrator, and he covers Lee, Wise, and Scott, is that
Scott
right?
in Dickinson
And
County.
and before that, Wade was still a representative and worked in Dickinson County, and he has, in my opinion, blown away by how responsive he's been to questions that I've had, and I know Miss Willis has
Yes.
given him rave reviews. And so I thank you for coming. I know you've got a family, and I know necessarily this isn't some big overtime pay you're getting to be here. You're here to give us information and maybe answer questions. And so from myself personally, thank you for coming, and I'm gonna turn it over to you.
Yeah, you're welcome, and I think everybody's got a copy of the quarterly update that I brought. We can run through that really quick, and then I got a couple of other issues that are outside of this that I'll discuss with you. First, in our quarterly update is kind of a 3-month look ahead of the work that we're planning over the next 3 months, and it's getting that time of year when asphalt plants are going to be opening up, so we're going to be doing a lot of patching. During the wintertime we patch, but it's with cold mix and stuff, so now that we can start getting some hot mix, we'll start doing a lot more pothole patching, that sort of thing, and even some bigger patches where they're needed with paving equipment. We're going to be paving over any newly replaced pipes that we did during the wintertime. Of course, we're always installing new pipes, and we have a lot of pipes planned to be replaced this summer and into the next fiscal year. Unfortunately, just the geography of Dickinson County, we've always got slides over here, so we're constantly working on slides. We'll continue cutting brush and, opening up roads. I think Ms. Sluss, Ms. Willis, last time I was here, you guys were joined by phone, but you in particular, Ms. Sluss, have brought up, some of the roads that were kind of tunneling in, and we're really making an effort on trying to open up some of those roads.
They worked on my ridge, I stopped and talked to them,
Yeah.
told them who I was. And they got quite a bit out of it.
Yeah,
Yes,
well,
right.
I've, actually, in the next section, I can tell you how much we've done since the last time I was here, and it's a pretty impressive number, but, we'll continually, this is a year-round thing, us getting debris out of the roads if we're called in at night for a tree down or dead animals, that sort of thing. Mowing is going to be starting, and our goal is to have the first round of primary routes mowed by Memorial Day. VDOT mows our primary routes 3 times a summer and our secondary routes twice a summer, so our first round of primary mowing is going to be completed by Memorial Day, which should be starting, we usually start towards the end of April on the mowing. Paving and latexing routes, we've got what we call the paving schedule that comes around every year. They'll be starting on those pretty soon. And you'll see some crews out doing some patching ahead of those scheduled routes, just trying to get them in, better shape before they come through and pave the route. So ditching and replacing pipes on paving routes. Whenever we have a route on the paving schedule, we always like to go in, ditch it, replace any old pipes. That way we don't have to cut through any fresh asphalt to replace an old pipe or something. So that's kind of our 3-month look ahead over the next 3 months, what we're going to be focusing on, among other things, but those are the big issues.
Mr. Belcher, where do you intend to pay for the summer?
I don't have the schedule with me, so I'm sorry, I can't. I cover, like Josh said, 4 counties, so it's hard for me to remember the paving schedule for all 4 counties. I can get back to you with that and give you all the routes, Ms. Luss. I just can't recall them off the top of my head.
I just wanted to mention, you did pave, did a really good job down Bear Pen and Brush Creek and so forth. I would like to see you continue that paving from Birch, where you turn up to go up to, from the bridge. I always have trouble with that guy's name.
Yeah,
Poodle Joe Bridge.
Yeah, Poodle Joe Bridge,
Poodle Joe
yeah.
Bridge, all the way up to where you paved.
Yeah.
And I would like to see that paved, because that road's pretty rough.
Yeah, it is, and
But I commend you for the job you did from, was
Pound
it
River.
Pound River that you did, and
Yeah.
the guardrail you put up for that was good. But I'd like to see that from Poodle Joe Bridge on to join that paving.
Yeah, and I'll look into that. Each year I get roughly enough money to pave about 8 miles of secondary road per county. So when we get those funds, we really have to prioritize the worst of the worst. So I'll take a look at it, but the latex is another option. If we've got a road that's in decent enough shape to put some latex on, that can buy us another 6-8 years of good.
Is that what you did through the town of Clintwood? Latex paving?
Hey, it's kind of what like they used to call slurry seal. It's like
Well, I've had a lot of complaints on that. They say it's rough.
typically it shouldn't be very.
Have you
shouldn't be
changed
very
paving
rough.
company? Is it W&L and
BZAC has the contract right now.
they come in at a lower price?
That's typically the way they do it. They put all the routes out for bid, and whoever the low bidder is gets the contract. That's just the, state procurement method, so.
Thank you.
Are you open for, go ahead.
Yeah, Wade, but I think to follow up with Rhonda's question, it'd be good if I like seeing this information,
Yeah,
then I know what's being worked, but if we could get that paving schedule to see
The
what
exact
roads, 'cause
routes.
some of these roads, I know I've requested some, and it's been a couple of years ago,
okay.
and I'd like to know whether it's even on your guys' radar.
Yeah. I'll get the board that list and get it to you guys, and then also Josh was part of this as well.
One of the things I would
The-
also
the-
like to see better in the future too, and you guys are doing it. Your response after the flooding in Willis and Clintwood District was commendable. But I mean, I can remember seeing roads like Little Lick down in the Hayside area that 3 or 4 years later, they still didn't get repaved, and they had the same kind of upheaval of concrete. That was before your time.
Okay.
So we need to look at the roads and see, because there's a lot of paving needed out there.
Okay. And then also, on top of the regular VDOT paving schedule, the coal committee in Dickinson County has allocated a hefty amount to do some extra paving in Dickinson County. So as soon as, all that's said and done, I don't know if you remember that meeting, Josh, we allocated some funds for a lot of paving. And I don't think the contracts and stuff will be written for that this year. We'll probably see that paving done next year, but I'll supply you guys with that list as well.
Thank you, that'd be good.
Well, are you open for questions, or would you like to, I don't want to interrupt your presentation.
No, go ahead, anytime.
You and I have talked about this since I've met you. I met you at Bear Pen a year and a half ago. I'm trying to put it out of my mind, just to be honest with you.
Right in the middle of the club.
But there's still a lot of dissatisfaction
Yeah,
from my constituents, and I know Ms. Sluss, I know she meant the entrance of Bear Pen on up the river. She didn't mean in the Bear Pen
Oh, no, I
hollow.
didn't.
And I have some concerned citizens here that, Mr. and Mrs. Mullins, who I know you've met, and I have wrestled that for 3 years down there, and it's
Yeah.
flooded 2 of the 3 years I've been in service, and I'm happy to hand that over to somebody else next year and see if anybody can do a better job for Bear Pen Hollow than me, because I've drove you crazy, I've drove Richmond crazy, I don't know what else to do. But if you would elaborate a little bit on what the status is of doing something to improve that road down there, I would really, really appreciate it.
And Cutter Creek, Pine
Well,
Creek.
yeah, I mean, I don't think there's any secret at all that those 3 roads in particular were heavily damaged during the last flood. And, you talk about Bear Pen, just since then, we've installed, a double line of 72-inch pipe up there where the road was completely cut in two. We've patched some of the worst places up in there. We've worked on some shoulders, spot cleaned ditches, and opened up pipes. And we've cleaned up a couple of slides. I've had a drainage engineer out there, one of our hydraulic engineers have came out. We looked at it from one end to the other, and he's doing a study on the whole road to see if there's anything that we can do to improve the drainage up there. A lot of what causes the issue is if, on the upper end where I said we put in the double barrel 72-inch pipe.
Near Mr. Bryant.
Yeah, well, you've got it's a lot deeper up there. As you come down the road, you'll see some smaller double barrel pipes, say 36-inch, 24-inch pipes. You don't have enough cover there to put in a bigger pipe to carry more water. So if you increase the drainage up the road, you're going to be causing more issues down the road. So like I said, we've called in some drainage specialists and things to come in and take a look and do some studies and get their recommendations on what we can do to try to help the downstream citizens. And it is, I haven't it's, something I work on a regular basis, and we'll get to the bottom of it and try to figure out something to help the citizens up there.
So is that, I know, and maybe probably me and you'll drive up it here now that we're kind of breaking the weather, but is there any schedule, and this piles on to what everybody else is asking, so forgive me if you don't have it, but do you intend to get in there and pave some of that stuff was destroyed last year?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, like I said, we've done some of the patching on some of the worst areas, but we've got more shoulder work that needs to be done up there. We've got more drainage improvements that need to be made. Again, I would like to wait on the specialist recommendations before we do any drainage improvements, because I want to make sure we're getting the most bang for our buck when we do go in there to do something.
I think Pine Creek and Cutter Creek have the same problem. I mean,
Yeah,
they're
it's-
right between that creek and the big mountain, and
Yeah.
water flows off to it, and you've got some big pipes up Pine Creek
Yeah.
there, and it was such an event that it hooved them up, I don't know, back for a better word,
Mm-hmm.
raised them up to the water, and it backed it up in Cutter Creek as well, because
Yeah.
there's
Water
some two
went
pipes
under
that
it.
cross when you first enter, and it causes the rest of the people up from those big pipes
Yeah.
to flood.
Yeah.
But I do appreciate, you did, I think you went to Pine Creek, you did a lot of work up there. 'Cause
Pine
they-
Creek in particular,
Yeah.
if you remember, I think Josh
They couldn't
actually
get up
talked
in
you
there.
to church that
Yeah,
day
we were
on
there,
up there.
Yeah, you couldn't get in there.
It washed the road out completely, and we raised that road level, I'm gonna say 6, 7 feet. So the next time we have another event like that, you got another 7-foot depth of creek bed there that can possibly carry
Our
the water.
topography makes a difference, I know it's hard for you guys because a rain event, a huge rain event because of the location of
Yeah.
it, and then where Pound River is. I noticed which I don't know how Josh got that done, but you put in a lot of pipe on that side where you paved, then you paved over top of it.
Well,
Which will cut a lot of that water going in, it will help that.
Yeah,
Well, I'd like to see the same thing done more from Poodle Joe Bridge up, and I think
Yeah.
that will help them tremendously.
well, like you said, we got, and, like I was referring to the paving schedule, and on our 3-month look ahead, I said we're looking at on paving schedule routes, getting in there, ditching them, replacing all old pipes,
Then
because
pave 'em.
because what we don't want to do is have the taxpayers pay to pave a route and then have to go in there 2 months later and cut a hole through fresh asphalt and replace a pipe. So
Well, there at Austin's Gap, where you come up Austin's Gap,
Yeah.
that was a tremendous mess. Y'all fixed that somewhat,
yeah,
but because they had two large pipes there.
yeah,
And you did fix that somewhat, but I would like to see you go on up to Poodle Jug Bridge and do the same thing. Put in some ditches, some drain pipes, and then pave it,
Yeah.
like you said.
yeah. And I will go out and look at it and see what I can do. But like I was saying earlier, I get a limited amount of funds for this, so I have to kind of prioritize. And I'm not telling you no. I just need to go out and look at it,
Understand.
and I have to
I think I've been
prioritize the
calling
amount of
Rob- I've
money
been
that I
calling
get.
Joey Mullins.
So, do what?
I've been calling Joey Mullins a lot.
I think Shelby and Josh both will tell you can call me anytime, and I'll
I
do
tell you,
anything I can to help you.
I had to call him several times on a holiday weekend,
Yeah,
a 3-day
it-
weekend, and I really hated it.
Yeah.
That Rockdale.
Doesn't
I was
bother
just
me a
gonna mention
bit,
one thing.
and,
And you went up, this is on this piece of paper, where the spearhead, up at Snowball Hollow.
yeah,
It floods there every time. They have even a small rain event. You did go up and do some clean out ditch. But there's some more work that needs to be done up there.
yeah. And we realize that. We talked about that. I got with the headquarters today and went through this that I gave to you guys, and we realize there's more work out there that needs to be done. So it is on our radar, and we will get it done for you.
Wade, do we need to report those potholes out 72, or are they aware of those out there? There's two right there, you know, where that water stands in that ditch line that they've worked on, and
Yeah.
I've got some
Yeah,
compliments on
I
that.
told you me and Mike would go look at.
Yes.
I'll tell,
And
and
then there's one right there at Snowball Hollow. It's not Snowball Hollow, it's Whispering Pines, I believe is the name of it.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a big one there, which is in your district, but it's a huge one there also.
But they had worked on that one you were talking about. That was terrible.
The curve.
Yeah,
curve.
Yeah, they did.
They cleaned out the ditch line, looked to me like, or dug it deeper and deeper.
They dug it deeper, but you know what? There's a sewer line that goes through there, aren't they?
Would be a sewer
Yeah.
line.
Yeah, the
what?
sewer goes all the way out to.
Yeah, I guess it does past
it-
the,
It goes out to where
Church.
Kate Hawkins lived there.
Broward,
And
you're right.
also, you know, there's a fiber that goes through there, that high-speed fiber.
Yeah.
Goes in that same ditch line. So they may be afraid to dig too deep in there.
Yeah,
But I
we-
think it needs a bigger pipe in there to carry that water through there.
well, usually when we dig in areas like that, we get Miss Utility out to, you know,
I
mark
believe
stuff
there's
really
a
clear
sewer
for
line that
us.
goes right there at that house. And also, that fiber goes through there on the same ditch line, I believe. That may be why they're afraid to dig too deep in that ditch line there.
Yeah, I'll have the discussion with the
But
headquarters and,
there's two big potholes right there where that water has stood.
okay.
Well,
There's one on both sides of the road.
that's the same problem at Rush Creek. You know where Rush Creek is?
Yeah,
know, that-
I'm getting to it. I was getting to
You
Rush
know,
Creek.
they, Point Broadband went up there, went under the road, they went 1,500 feet up, and they sort of didn't do a very good job of cleaning up their mess. To tell you the truth,
Yeah.
y'all went up there and dug out some of the ditches on that side, but like she said, they buried their fiber optic, Point Broadband being, did 1,500 feet up that way. But that road is in terrible shape. It's starting to cave in on the, like, 200 feet up that road, it's caving in. You've got barrels up.
Yeah,
And then you go on up a little bit before you first, of course, they're not, right, it's breaking off too.
right next to the guardrail.
That one is, and then there's one on up further, it's breaking off over
Right.
to toward the river.
I rode that road this morning and took pictures of
Did you?
everything
Okay,
up
well,
there.
great.
And
Yeah.
it probably made the third or fourth time I've rode it this month looking at all those issues. So I'm well aware of them, and we do have plans to
And
get
as you
to
can see,
those.
Wade, it's a good time. Ms. Kaiser has something, and Mr. Peters, but this, what we're having this dialogue is being the most frustrating thing about sitting in this seat. Is probably 80% of what and I don't know, Ms. Willis has done it a lot longer than any of us, but is hear this stuff. You know, I hear about bear pen, I hear about
You see how many?
I hear
run
about this
over there?
stuff, and there's not really anything I can do other than call you.
Yeah,
And it's wonderful, and everything I said is sincere about you, and you've helped me so much. But I mean, I just want the public to know that I can't, we don't have any, I'm not your boss.
yeah,
You know, all I can do is be a conduit, for the citizens to get it to you. And then
Yeah.
we have no control over
And then-
your budget. We don't have any
Yeah.
control to tell you when to do it or how to do it or where to do it. Although you are very generous and listen and try to get to us as quick as we can. All we can do, is tell you.
yeah.
I mean, right, VDOT's its own bureaucratic governmental entity.
Well,
And-
Mr.
But you
Belcher
can
is
see, though-
restricted to funding also.
But you're just hearing though, that from Ms. Sluss, Ms. Willis, and you're gonna hear from Ms. Kaiser, this is all we hear. This is the stuff we hear every
He
minute.
can tell by all this.
I understand too,
Scares me a lot.
and I hope you'll agree that I sincerely want to help the people of this county and all the counties that I serve. But, you know, when it comes to time and responding to things immediately, you know, there's limitations on that. You mentioned budget limitations. You've got limitations on resources, on people. So, I try to do the best that I can at allocating those resources to the most serious issues that we've got facing us, and I mean, you know me well
You
enough
do a
now
great
to
job.
know that I sincerely want to help every
Absolutely.
customer
We're
of this
blessed to have
county.
you.
Yes,
sir.
we are.
But I didn't, the reason I done that spiel, Lo, is you hear, this is stuff me and Rhonda and all of us, just
Yeah.
A, B, C, D, E, we get pounded in the head with it
Yeah.
everywhere we go.
And
it's just, you know,
at any point in time, I'm willing to meet with any of you guys and the citizen that you're talking to.
and you have.
At any point in time, you can call me. Any 24/7, holidays, weekends, you can
appreciate
call me
that.
anytime you want
Peggy,
to.
I got
Yeah.
one more
And he
request.
responds quickly. I
Sure.
can tell.
Yes, he does.
This has been going on 3 years at the four-way. We're getting ready. The county's gonna have an elementary school up there. It's gonna have like 600 students, is that correct? And there's gonna be more traffic on that road than ever. And I called Joey last week. And every time I call him, I get another year put on it. And I think, what, you know, first you told me, he says that's going to public comment in July, is what he told me.
You're talking about the roundabout, just so
Yeah, the
everybody knows.
roundabout's what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
I live on County Ridge, and Shelby does too, and when you come off there, it's dangerous. I mean, especially in the morning when school's going up and when the evening. And I understand that you have restraints on, but I've been asking for this 3 years, and then he tells me last week, he said, oh, it'd be 2 more years. And I said, Joey, and then I had a legislator tell me, which I met with last week, he said, I told VDOT not to do that. And I went, huh? You did what? I said, it's not that I'm a great fan of roundabouts.
Yeah.
Although I have looked at and studied at them, they are efficient when it comes to saving fuel. There's less accidents with Of course, a lot of people on Rose Ridge don't like the roundabout. I like them, but a lot of people don't like them. But I don't know whether there any other solution at the four-way than the roundabout.
Yeah.
But except the stoplight, and I think you all have restrictions on, because of school, you gotta be closer to the school itself in order to qualify for a
Caution
stoplight, a
light.
caution light or a stoplight. But, you know, I know you have a smart scale, and it seems like to me every time I ask, it gets pushed back a year. Maybe I shouldn't ask.
Well, that side of the smart scale side of things and traffic engineering, that sort of things is more in Joey's side of the house, but he did give me some notes before I came over on the roundabout and some other things that you had asked about. And I think you just said this, the public hearing on the roundabout is in July. It's scheduled for July. He said you had also asked about the slide on Rush Creek, which I was going to be getting to that later in my presentation, but you know, we're working on a slide right now up on Rock House.
Right.
The crew that is repairing the slide on Rock House, as soon as they finish there, will be going to Rush Creek to fix that slide.
Well, that'd be great.
And do some more
Like
work.
Josh said, I have had numerous calls on that. But I'm concerned because the school opens this fall, the elementary
Yeah.
school opens this fall. And the traffic's gonna be, I'm afraid somebody's gonna get killed right there, just be quite frankly. I've almost been hit a couple times. But something has got to be done about that. You know, most people now are taking their kids to school. They don't really ride the bus as much as they used to.
Yeah.
When back in my day, you rode the bus, but you didn't get there. But nevertheless, I would like to see, I don't know how you could bump it up, but I would like to see you do it as quick as possible, not wait 2 years when the school was in operation a year or so. And I just don't want to see, but I've talked enough about that. Thank you very much.
I'll get you all the information I can on it. Just know that that's something outside of my control, but
Okay.
I'll do everything I can to help you.
Okay, thank you.
This is,
Mr. Belcher, Ms. Kaiser has something.
Yes.
I have a couple of things, but I'm not gonna jump categories until you get down to the bottom one on the previous requests and comments, but mine is on the The number 7, the mowing, that the first round of mowing is for the primary routes and mowing. I would like for you to try to consider checking to see if there should be any mowing that needs to be addressed going towards the Ralph Stanley Memorial Festival in May. I usually start, I haven't gotten requests yet, but I usually start getting people hollering at me in April, early April, to try to get some brush and stuff cleaned up because, you know, those motorhomes and campers are not cheap, you know, with people
Yes.
bringing those through there. And if you could, the main route that the campers travel, I'm not sure if that is Carter Stanley Highway, you know, both ways. I don't think they go up Smith Ridge. They may come off of Smith Ridge a little bit.
Yeah,
But I
I
think
know
most of
exactly.
them is the out, that comes out on Sandy Ridge on,
Yeah.
or not Sandy Ridge, what used to be, but, you know.
You're talking about the section where we make it one way, going all the way around and come back down.
Yeah.
Yeah, now-
Check that for extra mowing to prevent
And
camper
that's gonna be in
May. I think
May?
it starts
Memorial
May.
Day.
It's Memorial.
Memorial Day weekend?
Yeah.
Okay.
May 24th, 25th is the start date of it, but now campers will be coming in probably,
The week before.
Week
Yeah.
before?
Yeah.
Yeah.
so you really can't wait till then, you know.
Yeah.
But if that could be addressed, I'd like to put that in before, you know.
Now, when I say that the first round of primary mowing will be complete by Memorial Day, I'm not saying that secondary routes won't be mowed.
Right.
Secondary routes will be mowed. They just get mowed twice a year, while
Right.
primary routes get mowed
Yeah.
3 times a year. But I will make sure we get some mowers up there
Yeah.
before the festival.
That mainly, some of that area in that is my district, but some of them is also Miss Willis's district.
Yeah.
But I think they're trying to do a festival in August up there as well. So maybe if that ridge particularly could be addressed in May and August, as they're 2 times a year to get mowed, then it's mowed to benefit, you know, people bringing their campers and stuff in.
Okay.
And then I have something else, but I'll wait till you get down to the bottom. I'm not gonna jump the gun.
Okay, I've kind of lost my place now.
Josh, always let him do it.
We'll start on the second section here. This is just kind of a breakdown of some of our accomplishments since the last quarter that I came in. Of course, I think it was 4 months ago when I came in. I tried to get us on the actual quarters of the fiscal year, so I wanted to wait till March. But since our last meeting, we've accomplished county-wide 94,300 feet of ditching. That's a lot of ditching to people who aren't very familiar with it, but that's a lot of ditching to do in 4 months.
Now, when you mean ditching, does that mean
That
cleaning
means-
the ditch line out?
Cleaning the ditch line out, hauling off all the junk material, and then bringing another truck and loading it and hauling off more. So, 94,000 feet, that's,
Okay.
a pretty good amount of ditching for 4 months.
Haven't seen that my way.
We've placed 2,100 cubic yards of stone for different spots of slope erosion to protect from further erosion. We've cut down 6 trees on Route 80 that were problem trees. They were dying and in danger of falling in the road on traffic or something, so we cut those down. We've done, and this goes back, Ms. Sluss, to your request from the last board meeting when I was here. We've done 27 miles of pruning and brush removal across the county, and it's been a challenge because my guys have had equipment breakdown after equipment breakdown, and we rented equipment to do it, but so I'm proud of them for getting 27 miles done with all the challenges that they've had. They've removed 74 dead animals from the right-of-way. We've graded 73, almost 74,000 feet of gravel road. We've cleaned 1,120 feet of pipe, replaced 600 feet of pipe, and that's in various sizes. We've graded almost 10 miles of unpaved shoulder, removed 2,131 cubic yards of debris from the roadway, which could be down trees that they've been called out for at night. It could be, mud that's slid out in the road, just any type of debris that's in the roadway that we've cleared. This winter, we worked 13 snow events, and we're working on multiple projects right now on Route 605 and Route 606, pipes, ditching, shoulder repair, that sort of thing.
Where's it at? 605 and 606?
605 and 606, I'm pretty sure it's one of your routes, Miss Celeste.
I can't think of where 605 is. Is that Pine Creek or?
No, Pine Creek is 706,
Where's
Cutter
605?
Creek is 622, Bear Pen 620.
Or 605 and 606?
You just have to look it on the map.
I'm sorry, when you got 4 counties to
Yeah,
remember, it's kind of hard to
I'll look it up and
remember
find out
where
where
all
it
of
is.
them
You
are
missed
at.
your potholes also.
Excuse me?
You missed your potholes.
Oh, yeah, we filled 2,157 potholes.
Yep.
So, and then the last portion of, I'll say the last, but I've got some notes on some other things here, is kind of specific requests that I've gotten from board members. Josh, we went out and messed with Mr. Davis. And I told you the outcome of that. They are going to let us help Mr. Davis out. I've just got to get the paperwork in order, and we'll work with him to get that solution or get that problem resolved. Miss Howard, I met with her today. I think we've got a really good plan for that. A lot of that I'm going to have to work with environmental on because it is a live stream coming down through there. But I think we can help her as well. And then I wrote in on my list here the Route 631 guardrail, Josh, as well. That's something that I know you fought for a long time, and we finally got that completed. So, Ms. Willis, we replaced the pipe on Stanley Hollow. I know you and I had spoke about that a couple of times. We finally got that replaced. Repaired a slide and put stone on the roadway on Route 644. That's the dirt road that goes from Caney, I think it's Little Caney.
Little Caney.
Little Caney. And then Miss Willis, again, you've got several slides that are from the same flood that tore up Bear Pen and all
Right.
that, and they just started today.
I noticed their
Up there.
equipment was there Saturday when I went off. I
Yeah,
knew they was
they-
getting started.
So they just started today repairing some of those slides. I finally got some funding to do some of that, so they'll be repairing some slides out through there. And then a pipe on Route 654, that may have been something you spoke with Mike about.
It was.
But he got that replaced
Right.
for you. Then also, Miss Willis, we turned in a request to have Route 652 restriped. I put that down as the top priority for the Wise residency above any route in any of our 4 counties. I put that down
I
as our
get more
top
complaints
priority.
on that than anything.
And,
I can't see.
but I'll just say this,
It's the Dr. Rouse Stanley
I'm sorry.
Highway.
Yeah.
Sandy Ridge?
No, it's Dr. Rouse Stanley Highway.
the restriping does come down to, it's a contract that's done out of Bristol to get, all these
stripe,
routes
right.
on there. So I'll keep up with how that contract's going, and I'll let you know
right, I
when I
appreciate
think
that.
we'll get it done. Miss Sluss, we've already talked about the ditching on Snowball Hollow And I realize there's more work to be done out there, and
Yes.
we'll get it done. And then again, Ms. Les, I put on there the 27 miles of pruning and brush removal, but just to be specific, some of your routes that we got done were 624, 623,
Can't Creek,
631.
I think it was at Can't Creek, wasn't it?
706 is Pine Creek, so we did that. And then Route 622 is Cutter Creek, we did that. Along with others, but that was just a few of yours to be specific.
Thank you.
Mr. Peters, I think maybe you had talked to Mike about a pipe issue on Route 671 up near B.
Yeah.
That, turns out that that's involved with a bridge and it's got a structure number on it up there, so that falls under the bridge division. But we are working with the bridge division to get a plan together for.
Okay, good.
It'll be the bridge department that would have to do the work and all of that because it has the structure number, but we will follow through with them and, make sure there's some resolution for you there. Ms. Kaiser, I think you must have talked to someone at the headquarters about a tree in the ditch on Route 604, and that was picked up and removed.
Okay. And I noticed, I went back to my email, once you gave us these a while ago, I sent in a request on February the 18th, 4 on February 20th, and 1 on February 21st. Those are the emails back from VDOT. Those was the days of issues for Phillips Hollow, which I think is Route 626. And one of the issues on that road is the ditch line is filled, and there's houses that lives, the ditch line is on, as you're going up Phillips Hollow, the ditch line is on the right. So when it gets covered and filled and starts running in the road, and if it's elevated and it goes across the road, then there's some houses down and under the bank on the left-hand side. So this water then goes down in on them.
Okay.
So that was one of them. And then I think potholes and stuff as you start up Phillips Hollow, and I'm not sure. And I think one of these as well is that Mrs. Howard. Is the Mrs. Howard on Shane's Lane that you was talking about?
She lives, Mrs. Howard lives in McClure.
Yeah.
You got she lives on the other side of 63.
Yeah, she has called and called me. Somebody was visiting her the other day and came to my house and said, Mrs. Howard asked me to talk to her supervisor. And I said, I have turned this in, I have called, I've sent pictures, I went down there and took pictures.
I went out and met with her
Yeah.
personally today, and I discussed a plan with her that I think she's happy with.
Okay.
And
I think a lot of the issue is coming from across on Crow's Hollow that washes down across the road and comes down Papaw Drive onto Shane's Lane.
Well, what part of what I think has happened there, there's a stream that comes out of the mountain there. And it looks like VDOT has put in a cross pipe at one time to cross the water on the other side of the road. Now, a lot of times we'll have people connect on to our pipes because maybe they don't want a ditch running through their front yard. They'd like a nice smooth yard where they can mow and everything, and which works well for years, but once those pipes start failing or something, then you start having a lot of issues like this where, but we took a really good look at the whole situation today, and I think, and I spoke with several of the neighbors up there and Miss Howard, and I think we've got a good plan moving forward. So.
Yeah, because I knew I had sent that in as well with pictures. Because I went and, I saved the pictures from one person that had put them on Facebook. I saved those, and then I went to her place and took pictures and that.
Okay. And I tried to convey to her today. Anytime we're working in a situation where we have a live stream, which is moving water, if you're working in a stream where you've got moving water, that can really slow down the environmental process as far as getting permits and things like that. But You know, I've worked out some things with her that I'm gonna
Okay.
do in the meantime to buy us some time to get the permit process underway and all that.
Well, good.
She's
So-
satisfied with the time.
And I gave her my card so she can call me if she
Okay.
has any issues, and if she calls, I'll take care of that, so.
Well, I have one other thing in my district, and this person came to my house today, and I made copies of his paperwork and some, either emails or Facebook messages, what they had printed off, and he went down and talked to, Mr. Gully, and he told him to talk to his supervisor and to come to this meeting tonight, so he brought me the paperwork. And back on June the 18th of 2019, it says here that they have been given the go-ahead to repair this from the district and the residency. Evidently, it didn't get fixed, and I have a copy of a receipt and stuff that he paid in April of 21, and had it fixed himself. And this is on Dog Branch Gap at the section that turns left up to Neely Ridge or right to Ramsey Ridge. Just past that intersection is a resident on the right by the name of Warren Puckett. And I think the drainage coming off, possibly off of Ramsey Ridge Road, is been running off and washing off rocks and putting water off into his basement. But I brought you this paperwork that I told him I would share with you and give to you.
Could I get a copy of it or
Yeah,
something?
you can have
Because
this
that-
one, and I can get me another set of copies
Okay.
from him, because,
I spoke to Mr. Goley today, and he told me that, that Mr. Puckett may be here tonight.
yeah, well, he
but
brought me
because-
the stuff.
Okay. But
I put his address, it's 3502, and draw the arrow over from Warren Puckett's name.
Okay, and I will look into the issue
Okay.
and see, this was before my time in Dickinson
Right,
County.
right.
But I'll look into the issue and see if there's anything I can do to help
Yeah.
the gentleman. Thank you, Larry. As far as, I'm sorry, were you finished?
I
Well,
have
Mr. Peters got
something.
something.
We briefly spoke about it, and this is really kind of mainly gonna be in Peggy's district, but it's kind of near my district as well. Dog Branch Gap, Ailey Road, and Lick Creek meet at an intersection. And when you drive through there, it's a 40-mile-an-hour zone going down Lick Creek. But then shortly after that, a little ways down, it stops into 40-mile-an-hour zone. And the citizen concerned because for that next half mile, there's a bunch of houses with children that catch the bus, and they wanted to be evaluated to see if that shouldn't be continued further down the road, the 40-mile zone. I think where it ends is near address 5839 Lick Creek.
5839.
And, they would just like to see the traffic slowed down, and me and you briefly talked it.
Yeah.
One thing to have the sign, it's another thing to enforce it, I agree.
Yeah, and again, that's a traffic engineering thing that's out of my purview, but I can talk to traffic engineering, I'll bring it up to them and.
Well, one of the things I would mention, it looked like they're maintaining that speed along that whole area, and then all of a sudden it stops.
When they see that in 40 miles.
Well, yeah,
an hour.
and I'm not saying people aren't speeding through all of it, I'm just
Yeah.
saying that for some reason they felt it should be a 40-mile-an-hour zone, and it's the same kind of terrain, windy roads along the river, and especially if they see a straightaway, that's like, put your foot to the metal.
Yeah,
You know, it seems to be typical, so. But if you need a name or point of contact, I've got his information too.
sure, well, I don't know if you want to share it here or
Yeah,
if.
you can call me and
Okay.
yeah.
I've actually, I brought some cards with me, maybe I can, I'd like to leave all of you one of my cards, I mean,
All right.
You know, I
thought
talk
you
with
were-
Shelby and Josh all the time because they have my information, but you guys call me anytime.
Wade, I appreciate you taking
I
time.
do
Every
too.
time I contact you, I really appreciate you and what you've done and helping me.
Sure,
And
sure.
I do, I really appreciate it. And Harmon always was real good to call me and help me with my district also.
One other thing is, I've had several people contact me, not just recently, but over time frame, and I guess we probably just hadn't moved on it, but on March the 6th, I contacted Mr. Barton, and he then sent Joey Mullins an email, and we've had a couple of email contacts backwards and forth, that people is requesting the study or what can be done to change
I'm sure
going
John
from
said-
Fremont up the hill
The three-way,
back to the passing going up, then the passing coming down. But are there a possibility of any space to make from that curve down to Fremont into 4 lanes at any way where they would be passing up and down? But now, you know, I wanted the people that may be listening or watching or hear that, you know, we have asked Joy to see what can be done. And we noticed that there was some stripes across the road. They must have been doing count or something.
yeah,
to-
well, usually that's what when you
Yeah.
see those stripes across the road, usually what they're trying to do is to get an average daily traffic count, to see how much traffic is
Right.
traveling the road per day. But I know Mr. Sumter and Miss, who is our residency administrator, Mr. Sumter mentioned it to me that the board had questioned him about switching it back, and then Mr. Mullins mentioned it as well. But as far as, I honestly don't think we have the width through that section to make a 4-lane, section there.
That was just a thought.
And as far as switching those back and forth, there'll have to be, I'm sure, some traffic studies done and things like that. So, you know, unfortunately, that's not something I can give you an answer on tonight. But I do know that they are looking at it.
Well, one thing, the concern is, like Mrs. Sluss said a while ago, the school traffic that is going to increase. You're going to have that many more traffic going slow uphill behind buses, behind any work vehicles, you
Yeah.
know, or whatever, to make the traffic even longer line up going up through there, that if the passing could be switched
Yeah.
because of the traffic. You know?
Like I said, I don't know, I can't give you a time frame on when you'll have an answer, but I know it is being looked
Okay,
into
all
right
right.
now. And the traffic count they're doing out there could have something to do with them looking into that.
Right.
Those are done from Bristol, so I don't, you know, they could have put them out there as part of that. I don't know. I'm not saying that's what it is, but I know it is being the issue's being looked at.
Okay. And the only other issue, I guess this probably takes me out of being in the supervisor's seat and puts me over here in the personal seat. But the issue with the Dunrobin Road closure that is in Stratton off of Dake Mountain Road on 63,
Is that the bridge?
that little bridge,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah,
you know.
I remember when that
I mean,
was closed.
I just can't seem to get anywhere with the answer. I was at a Cofield Expressway meeting in Lebanon, and a gentleman from the Bristol office, and I talked to him, or my husband did, and never have heard anything from that. And when Mr. Mullins was over here on a public hearing, I think on the school or the Food City Road where they're going to be working and closing that, I asked him.
Yeah.
It had been transferred from the guy from Bristol to Wise. We still haven't heard anything.
Okay.
And I mean, that's probably been closed since about 2017, 18.
I was there the day it closed. I wasn't but I was an operator at the time, a truck driver, but I remember it being closed. I was there that
And,
day.
and we
So
own
that-
property there, and it's just, it just stays blocked from the people that live over there till, and
Well,
we would just
I'll-
like to know something, and that's a personal thing away from my board position.
Well, I'll get you an answer on why. Is that you're looking for why it's still closed, or why it can't be reopened, or what?
Or if the right-of-way, that road right-of-way is gonna be given back to the owners, property owners, on how
Okay.
it can be used, something.
Okay.
Or we can meet with you down there and look at that,
Sure,
and talk about that. If we wanna set up something, I'll be glad to do that.
Willing to meet
Because I
you
really have,
anytime.
I don't know that we have ever met with anybody
Okay.
at that location to visually discuss it other than just what you and I are doing now.
Okay.
Was you all not there the day that we met
We
down
were
there?
not notified. We did not know anything about that road being closed.
I thought Hyder was there that day. I was there.
None, neither one of us. I
Joey
came
and
home
David
from,
Yates and,
I came home from the diner and I noticed orange markings in the road, and I went home and I said, what are they doing down at the bridge or on the road? They got writing numbers and stuff in the road. And I think that was a Friday, and on Monday he went down to VDOT office and Mike Gully told him the road is being closed tomorrow. Nobody in the community knew it, except for the people in the brick house that reported it to, and had you all to come in.
Okay. I'll
Nobody.
Yeah, and just to clarify something here, since I'm a little familiar with it.
You
I
was
think
there that
Peg-
day.
Shelby, I think Peggy's talking about the day it closed.
yeah.
And you may be talking about the day when it became apparent what had happened and we went and met them out there. Because I think that was 2 different days.
Yes, it probably
Yeah,
was. Hyder
yeah.
probably was there
Yeah,
the day they
that's
closed.
what I was
That-
gonna
that-
point
that-
out.
That
Hyder
is
was there that
correct.
day.
Yeah.
But the day the meeting to discuss it, no landowner around that bridge
Was
was
there?
notified. No.
Okay.
Yeah. So,
And we had owned that one piece of property 07, 06, somewhere in that area. So we had owned it for 10 years. So at least 10 years when it got closed.
Okay.
Okay.
You wanna run for board supervisors in Wise County?
I bet you worse.
I'll stick to talking to you guys. That'll be enough for me.
I do have, well, I'll talk to you about it. We'll get together on it.
Okay, and I hope each one of you got one of my cards, and
Yes.
please feel free to use it.
I'm gonna call you more there, Wade.
And-
What are you gonna do about the
The Puckett
The
family
Rush
is
Creek
watching.
bridge thing? Are you gonna do anything?
The Rush Creek Bridge, again, and
I mean, I
all
met
of,
with somebody down there, but
all of our bridges and pipes over a certain size or box culverts, they all fall under the bridge division, which is ran out of the district office.
gone.
So they have control over maintaining, replacing, any type of work that's done to bridges goes through the bridge division, because they have specialized engineers that, specialize in bridge engineering and that sort of thing. But I know there was there has been a lot of discussion around that bridge here
we're talking
lately.
about the one where the people turn up and go way up on top of the mountain. They get flooded out every time they get rain a bit. They say they have the right of way. You say the VDOT says they do not. They say they their dad gave part of the land to VDOT. VDOT says no. So I don't know, but I know if I've given her gravel, but every time you have rain a bit, it washes it off,
Yeah. Any documentation that we've been provided so far does not specify that VDOT will maintain that portion of the road or and if we just don't have any documentation supporting that claim.
She shows me documentation, but I'm not a lawyer, so I'm not a lawyer like John, so I don't understand.
So has it been recorded though?
Well, I don't know if it's been recorded or not, but, it is a
That's the only thing that makes it
constant
legal.
problem there. And what makes it so bad is that you guys went up there, and this is Shelby's district, part of it's in mine, but you went up the road there at 649, come out on Caney Ridge, and you put a big entry there onto Caney Ridge.
Yeah.
And that road's in terrible shape. I traveled it the other day.
I came up there the other day, the road just narrow, you just have to be careful going up through
Well, I
there.
just don't think it gets that kind of merit, that kind of,
That's a,
They had that money
I-
left over
the-
from another project,
Shelby
and that
didn't
was
ask
the
for it,
only,
I know that.
that was
Yeah.
the only thing they could use it for, was to try to make
Yeah,
the
there's-
entrance, both sides.
yeah.
And it
All right,
looks
so-
really
When you wanna
nice,
open
and
the
I
VDOT
like it.
building up there on
We've
Caney Ridge.
gotta move this thing along.
When are we gonna move into it?
Yeah.
They have to do a final walkthrough and inspection on it to make sure everything's up to code and all that.
Boy,
and then
that's
hopefully
nice.
we'll be
How's
moving
that?
into
What's the
it.
1-800 number? Read it for the public, please.
1-800-4 roads.
And so if you see a pothole, if you see a brush in the road or tree in the road, please call that number.
Yeah,
Certainly, you can call me. All I'm gonna do is call that number. If it's something more serious, call us and we're gonna call him.
but I
And
will
we
tell.
don't have a road crew. All we do is call Wade and drive him nuts. And
You
so,
don't drive me nuts.
I wouldn't want your job.
but that's what we're doing.
He's got a
Thank
whole
you
job.
for being here.
You're welcome, but
Sincerely.
can I add to
Yes,
what you
go
just
ahead.
said? Even if it is a serious issue where you guys are gonna contact me, it's always best to get a work order in the system because
Read
those,
that number one more time.
1-800-4 roads.
Well, you can call
Thank
835, Shelby,
And, the reason it's best to get
If
one of
you
those
call
work
the-
orders in
the
is
headquarters
because
there
they're
goes to the
tracked
same
all the
place.
way to
Goes to the same
Richmond.
one.
And once a work order goes over 90 days, if something's not been done in 90 days, then we start getting pushback on that, why has this not been taken care of?
Yes,
So,
You call
if you-
835-8628.
Well, he's telling you, even you can do that, but
You can do that, and
We
it
need to
goes
do
to the
what he
same
just said.
place.
Well, I know, but I put work orders in, 2
It
years
goes the
ago,
same
and I've
place.
not got any response back to what was done.
well, you do that and then call him.
Yeah, I know, that's their protocol, is to put the work order in and then call you.
All right.
but people do track if they're not completed in a timely manner, and I'm just saying that is watched. And but again,
Thank you.
please feel free to call me
Thank you,
anytime with
Wade.
any issues.
And
I
I appreciate
everything.
you and Mr. Gully both will call me back when they get a job completed. Both of you all have been real good to call me back and tell me that it's completed, and I appreciate that.
You're welcome. See you guys later.
Thank you, I love the
Thank you,
report.
Wade. Y'all did a
Thanks,
great
Wade.
job.
Thank you.
Thank you. Why
All
don't you
right.
come every month? I said, why don't you come every
He
month?
couldn't handle it every minute.
All right, that brings us to item, 6 on our agenda.
Is public comment.
Public comment. So the floor is open for public remarks. Also, the phone line is open, 276-333-0357.
There's a lady who raised her hand back there to.
So if you come to the podium, ma'am, if you don't mind.
Well, I mean, I don't wanna jump in front of nobody.
Well, just whoever's first. There's no,
A few minutes.
It
She
don't
lives in
matter.
Clinton.
You're fine.
In that trailer on the right-hand side of the road, I think.
At our 1543 on Bar Pen.
I didn't hear anything you
I
said, I'm
I
sorry.
realize it's a mess on Bar Pen. This is a comment I'm throwing out. We used to live in our, me and my husband, David Phipps, he was a mechanic, you know him. Everybody does in Lakewood. But we lived on Bar Pen. And there was a trailer court behind us, so we lived right there on the hill on a trailer. And our driveway would get washed out because Chris Phipps lives on a mountain above us.
So we look at our sliding door and it's like a river comes down from his farm. Would go under our wooden underpin, around our yard, down our driveway, wash it away every time it come a heavy rain. And then it's the river there at our pin and it would wash on down to our neighbors. We let our place go, his big garage and trailer and all for $6,000 because it's a river that comes down. So that's probably a lot too. It's got to do. I mean, it's terrible. It was a nightmare. So we moved. That ain't my problem. I'm just helping y'all with some of our problem when we was down there. So we already got out there and got away from it after several years. But I live on Brushy Ridge Road at the bottom. I'm sure Peggy knows what I'm talking about. Most people will. They call it a nickname. It's the P.O.
He's got that. He went and looked at it today.
Okay. Yeah, because I've had to call Richmond several times. I should have got a hold of Peggy.
Today, and he's going to take
No,
care
that
of
ain't that ain't all the issue though about the barrel.
Oh, okay.
I've got pictures though. But I've been calling for several years now, and really I guess I've been doing about it different. I've been calling Richmond and Wise County because Dixon County, the roadman left. I was hoping he would stop.
I think that's my district, and I've never got a phone call from you.
No, I didn't know who to get
Well,
up
what do you
with.
need,
My number's on every pen I give
that's Miss
out.
Willis's district.
I don't vote. I don't have nothing to do with none of that political
Will
stuff.
you leave your name and number, please, and we'll get,
You
Let
talking
me
about
get-
where Emerson, I mean, where.
No, I know you're in a hurry,
Where's your
but this is important. I know you turned your head and you acted aggravated at me.
No, I'm trying to help
This is
you.
very important. There's a bus load of kids in the mornings. In the evenings, there's a whole mountain of Brushy Ridge
Are you
people.
talking
need your
about the
number
same
and name.
place up there?
and I'm gonna give it to him before he leaves.
Okay, go. It's Glenda Phipps. I need them. I got pictures right here if you need
What's
my
your
phone.
name?
Glenda Phipps. I've called everywhere. It's 276
You never call me.
0026. No, but it's
276. I
0026
didn't get it.
835.
276
No, 276-835-0026.
0026.
I'm sorry, I thought you reacted that way because you didn't want to hear me.
No, I want
But I
to
wish he
get.
would get back in here, I'd
Well,
love to
I'm
tell
gonna
him.
text him right now and tell him to come
Stand
talk to
right
you.
there.
Because none of us can do anything about
Okay, then I won't go, tell
Are
him over it.
you in the Kennedy district?
it. So he's waiting on you.
I think I'm in Peggy's, ain't I? Somebody at the courthouse today told me it would be Peggy.
Whereabouts are you at?
If it's at Brushy Ridge, no, you're in her district.
Okay, then you're in mine, ain't you? Okay, you know Brushy Ridge Road?
Yeah, I've been up there 6 or 8 times, just in the last few weeks.
Well, I live in that yellow house where Chris and Lynn Rose used to live. I bought their place, the P.O. You'll see a big
Across the
straight
railroad track.
there. My husband's
Now,
got a
he
red
went and looked
flag
at that
up there.
today, and they're gonna fix that. But he went and looked at it today.
I saw him down there. I tried to walk down there quick enough,
Well,
but
why
he
did
didn't
he
Well,
see me
he's
coming.
waiting on you right now.
He's right outside.
Miss
He's
Come
right
out here.
outside the door right
The
now.
man-
Okay, I do have some more issues to talk to y'all about the county though.
Well, go ahead.
But if he's waiting on me,
I
that's
see.
He's gonna
right there.
come, he's gonna come in before he leaves.
Go ahead, ma'am. Go ahead.
Go ahead, he's gonna come
Your
in.
3
Before he
minutes is
leaves.
up, but go ahead. You're here. Go ahead with anything else.
Okay, so y'all don't wanna hear my road problem. He does, right? So they.
Well, he's the one who can fix it.
Yeah, there ain't no need to go over. Okay, what I
But
was
they
gonna
went
say
out
is I
today.
can't figure out too about the county. I did mention to somebody a while back in the courthouse. Okay, with my son, I mean, not with my son. I get confused. But when my husband was a little boy, his dad used to take him up on Birch Knobs. So when they put pipes across there and they built that new road so people could go, see the look over, they filled in a cave. And his dad took him the whole time he was growing up. There is caves up there, a cave up there at Birch Knobs that you go in halfway up the mountain. It opens up, it makes Bristol caverns, Linville caverns, and all that look like a matchbox. If this county would open that, like, it would bring in so many people. You could open antique stores to sell stuff, souvenir shops, and stuff like that. There's a little rivers that run through it.
Don't
There's
know
a
if we
show
own it
on
or not.
YouTube you can get
Probably
on.
forestry land.
It's probably U.S. forestry land. I don't think
And
we
it
own
goes
it.
all the way through to Kentucky because there's some boys on YouTube. Me and my husband was watching it, and they found the caves that come out in Kentucky. So it goes all the way through,
That may be the silver mines.
and it's
Well, whose district is that?
Probably mine, but
It'd
it's,
probably be.
Well, I never
I don't
heard
have a clue
anything
what
about
she's talking about.
caves up there.
It's
Have you,
beautiful
Josh?
the way he's
No.
explained it to me, and all
Maybe you
his
can show it to
brothers
somebody.
has talked about it, and they say it
You
is
said it's
like
filled in?
They said you got to crowd like maybe like a room space, and then it just opens up, and you look like a mouse. It's so big. I mean, and it goes
You've
all the
been
way
in
to
it?
Kentucky.
You've been in it?
I haven't, but he grew up in it. Him, his brothers just told me about it. Nikki Taylor, I mean, all them older guys,
That's
they've
near
been
where you
in it,
live,
you know.
Dana. I'm gonna give you Miss Cronkite's number, and maybe she and your husband could
That
go
would be
back there.
something to open up around here, you know.
Did you say it was
Really well.
filled in?
Huh?
Didn't you say it was filled in?
He said the opening has.
How are you gonna get access to it?
Well, Virgil, he lives in Indiana. He's even told us about it. We went up for scouting not too long ago, me and David did. We couldn't find the open. He knows where it is pretty close to the opening. He said when they put those pipes and built the road, they covered the opening. But once you walk like a room space, then it opens up humongous. A lot of the older people went in it. I didn't because, you know, I didn't go over in Clintonwood much when I was a little growing
Might
up.
know something about it, but.
But I'd love to see what he's told me about it. He said Bristol Cabin is nothing compared to this place.
So I've got your number, and we're gonna get some people into, is there anything else you'd like to ask us?
Yeah, and
or-
if anybody wants to come and talk to my husband about the caverns, he can tell them all about it.
Okay. Anything else?
Just the road, that's all.
So Mr. Belcher, who done all the talking, is
What
waiting
is
on you.
that,
I'm sorry I didn't know who
That's
to
fine,
get
no,
a
it's no
hold
problem.
of.
what is the name of that cavern up there?
They don't have a name.
Oh.
Like his dad used to take them growing up all those
But
years.
it wasn't
And it's
named.
like, you know, he said it's really close to parking lot. You don't walk but very far from you on this parking lot that you made. But when they put pipes across there and built the road, you used to get down and you could crawl like he talked like about as wide as this room right here. And then when it opens up, it goes all the way to Kentucky. Now, there's a show on YouTube, shows some boys going in the caverns from that side, but they're just crawling through tunnels and then it opens up. And David said that's where it comes out at.
Okay. Thank
What's
you.
his name, David?
Phipps, he was a mechanic at Johnson's, that's how everybody knows him. There's so many David Phippses around here, ain't there?
Yeah.
But you're welcome to call him and, you know, I'm sure he'd like to, I would love to see it open someday, you know, I'd love to see what he tells me about. There's a little stream of water that goes through it, and there's a big, forget what they're called, that hangs down, but he said you look so little in it.
So it's at the tower.
Yeah, but that's what's under the towers.
That's what I'm saying. It's not on the road to the tower. It's
That's a
at the
Dana
tower.
project.
No, it's on the road to the
He's
tower.
right there.
Well,
See,
a while ago
that
you
whole
said parking
mountain,
lot.
It's at
that
the
whole
parking lot
mountain
of that.
is sitting on top of the
Is it out near the
cabins.
parking lot there?
What it is the whole mountain is sitting on top of the caverns. Underneath there is where it's at.
All right.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Mullins, are any calls? Anybody else here want to make a public remark? All right, I'm gonna move on from public comment. Last call, anybody else here? All right, then we're
She
gonna
just came
go,
out.
we done old business, let's go to new business, 8A. Miss Kayla, are you still here? Larry, you wanna handle that
Mr. Chair, I'll
piece?
take that. She
Yeah.
had to step out. Want to bring this to the attention to the board. Ms. Deal has included a letter in your packet. Basically, speak with Ms. Robinson at the schools. Sand Lake will be closed by the time the November elections come around and more than likely demolished by that time. It'll probably be in the September range. So we are going to have an alternate polling place for the Sand Lake community. Last year, when we were uncertain about what was going to happen with Sand Lake, we made some visits, and the Workforce Development Building in Hayside, the former bank building, they were gracious enough to offer their space. It has good parking, good access in and out, so we feel like that'll be a good location. We have their permission. And so basically what we're needing is your approval to designate this as our polling place for Ron's district
I
in Sand
defer to
Lake.
you, Mr. Peters.
Well, I don't know of any other place, so I think that's probably our best option right now.
You wanna make that motion?
Yeah, I'll make the motion that we designate that as the polling place.
Is there a second?
I'll second it. Didn't we discuss that last year on that?
We did, Ms. Willis,
Ron?
because we thought the school may not be available, but then with the switchgear delay, then it kind of pushed
And we
everything
didn't
out,
vote
so.
on it, okay.
But Ms.
Yeah, I'll
Phil spoke
second
with
the
him
motion
again.
for Ron.
All right, any other discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Aye as well. Mr. Barton again.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. 8B, in your packet, we have the Entrado contract, and Mr. Powers is here from 911, if I could ask him to come forward. While he's coming forward, I'll let him explain in more detail about this, but basically this is to move our Entrado up to the next gen 911 with the Viper system. It's something all the other counties are partnering together on. I think we're one of the last ones to get our part done, but you know, there is a $200,000 grant from the state that goes towards this total 7-year contract price of $318,910. This is something we're required to do, but I do want to mention that right now, if we make this move, that'll be providing new equipment, the updated technology. Entrado is currently costing us $7,345 per month. And after this, we will be paying $5,665 per month. So we will be saving about $1,680 per month, which is about $20,000 a year. So, Mr. Powers, I'll let you share a little more about it, or maybe answer any questions they have. So,
Okay. Basically, our call handling equipment for 911, there's a grant cycle that runs every 5 to 7 years from the state. They replace that equipment. The state 2 years ago signed what they called the Fairfax contract, which was basically an EZNet that the state is creating, which it's their own internal network to handle 911 calls. So everything across the state would be IP based. This contract was based off the one that Fairfax did. State adopted it as a model. We are a little bit behind just in the fact that we had no AT&T presence here. AT&T is the provider of the telephony. However, it will be provided by IP. So as long as we have an IP circuit for AT&T and an IP circuit from another provider, which ours will be Point Broadband, then we'll be able to have a redundant system. This meets our next gen 911 requirements, and it also puts us on a path for I3 911 compliance, which is the ability to transfer everything via IP. Currently, on a legacy system, if I get a cell phone call from Buchanan County, I can transfer it to them, but it's very archaic technology. They're not going to get a map. They're not going to get a location. They're not going to get anything other than what I tell them. So if I just get a call with very little info, or I can't process what they're saying, then basically all I can do is call Buchanan County and say, you have a call, it's somewhere around here. What this will allow us to do is transfer not only to them, but to other states as well. It's basically the model that the nation's going to, and Virginia's been pretty proactive about getting things done. We were able to do this project as a Southwest group, which is Dickinson, Wise, Lee, and Norton. We pretty much do all our grants together because we get a lot more bang for our buck. You know, we do get $200,000 on the grant. The entire project's a little over $3 million. If we were to do a standalone project, we'd be looking at close to $1 million per agency. And we are, you know, as Larry said, we actually will be installing new equipment and have a monthly savings. And over that 7-year cycle was pretty substantial.
right, about $140,000 savings.
So bottom line is, what's it gonna cost us now, I guess? Is that what you
Just our
get?
monthly
He's
fees.
getting a
that-
grant.
You're getting a grant for $200,000.
Yeah, we've already been awarded.
Very good.
Okay, you've already got it, so it's gonna cost $300,000.
The total cost in the packet, Ms. Celeste, is over 7 years. It's $45,558.59 per year.
But we're already paying,
Yeah, we're paying
Yeah,
more.
I think Larry's got, we done it earlier and broke down,
so I'm glad you're getting
Yeah,
it.
down to
Right
the
now, we're
monthly
paying
cost.
$7,345 per month, and it would drop down to $5,665 per month under this
so our
new
monthly
program.
payment will decrease.
Steve, have y'all already got Point Broadband in the town? up there?
We do.
Okay, good. I
We've
thought you did, but I wasn't sure.
we've got one circuit of it that provides some of our internet and our vCENT NCIC connections.
Right. I was thinking you did, but I wasn't sure.
The
Well, you got AT&T too?
we will have, but it'll be provided by IP.
Well, I think Tigger, that's good.
When I was reading this over the weekend and again, touched bases on it yesterday, page 10 of 14 lists the conditions not covered under the service contract. Out of all of those, how many of those would you need, or would you not ever need any of that's not covered, which would, if you would need them, then there's gonna be a cost for it, with it not being covered?
I haven't, since I've been in this role, I haven't been privy to any over the past 2 years that we have ran into any of that, because the contract's basically the same as the last one.
Oh, okay.
So I wouldn't foresee any. However, we do hope to do a better install, because we feel like we'll get better longevity out of our equipment.
Okay.
With our
Chair, I've got a question.
IT staff, they can
Oh, yeah.
accommodate most of these items.
On equipment, this is just equipment in the 911 center?
It is, but it's not. 911 is more or less becoming a service rather than just hardware.
Yeah.
We will actually have very little equipment other than some workstations at our, in the facility, which is less for us to have to maintain. Most of their stuff will be handled by Intrado in data centers.
Be more virtual, I
Yes.
mean. But I guess to clarify, so is there another piece where it's out with the emergency folks to communicate to you guys, or is it just?
No.
That's what I was really shooting at. Okay.
No, this will allow us basically to continue answering 911, but it gives us a lot more flexibility on transfers and the data that comes in. And it really lays groundwork for some pretty exciting things that they're doing. We actually now, through a third party, can take video and pictures back into dispatch from a call. This will lay the groundwork for us to be able to, have everybody, if they come across an incident and want to stream video to us, or pictures or audio, it's wide open at that point. The technology also allows us to do not just standard GPS, we get XYZ, so we actually can get an elevation. They do the any 3 words as far as geolocation, so it's exciting times. And it's really nice to see us be able to do that here, because I
And
think
this is
if you
what the
saw,
other
there's
counties are
only,
using?
do what?
The other neighboring counties? Does it help with
They,
interlacing
absolutely.
with them?
They will be.
And we are
They're
actually
in the
in
that's what I
same
thought.
time we are in the same package.
yeah, we're
Yeah,
actually in the
that's what I
same
thought,
group.
and that's good.
But we are excited to be able to do it. I think the info I sent you, was it 21 or 23% of the states actually next gen I3?
Yes.
43% of the state's population, and once we do this, we will be part of that.
Very good. I don't have anything.
good.
Very good
Sounds
work.
good.
Thank you.
Larry,
Good
what sort of
presentation,
form,
Steve, on
what's the
that.
content of the motion need to be?
What we're going to need is the board's approval of the contract with Intrado that's in the packet, so.
Does anyone want to make that motion?
I'll make a motion that we approve the contract with
Is
Intrado.
there a second?
I second it.
Any other discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye as well. Thank you, Tigger.
Thank you very
Have a good night.
Thanks for coming out.
Larry, 8C.
Mr. Chair, moving on to 8C, this is the Virginia Small Business Financing Authority, VSBFA. We have 2 different items in here. First, we have a resolution under C1. And C1 is going to be basically, we had a special call meeting back in December when the IDA was working with VSBFA in order to get the $2 million loan for the rehabilitation facility. The IDA is taking this, but we needed a moral obligation from the county on that, which the board gave unanimously at that meeting. And this is basically the written version of that moral obligation. Again, It's just a moral obligation. We are not legally bound to do anything more than that by this resolution. Is that correct, Mr. Sturgill?
That is correct.
Is there any questions or comments from Mr. Barton or Ms. Cronkite on this piece?
This is for the rehab center, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Larry,
Okay.
what kind of motion do you need?
We'll just need a motion to adopt this resolution in the packet.
I'll make a motion that we adopt this resolution that's in our packet.
I'll second the motion that we
And just for everybody's clarity, this is something, our Wildwood Recovery Center, this is sort of the financing mechanism on that piece, and it's basically closing this deal, right, Larry?
Yes, sir. It
Ms.
is.
Cronkite, thank you.
It is.
And Mr. Sturgeon, there's nothing different with this moral obligation than what we previously discussed, correct?
That is correct.
Thank you. You made the motion?
I'll make that
You are a
motion.
second?
I second
She
it.
second.
Any other questions or discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
As well.
Thank you, Mr.
Larry, I
Chair.
know that was a quick piece there.
Yes, we have 8C2 now, which is the second part of this.
Well, I want to say quickly, all the work you've done on this, and Dana, and I know we got more stuff to do on it, and we're going to have more stuff, but this has been a big deal to put together.
been a really
That one
big
right
deal.
there was a little, I mean, this has been a big deal.
Really big deal.
And I know it kind of, we brushed through it, but appreciate all the work you've done on it.
Well,
I
thank you for
appreciate
that.
the work
So-
they've done on it also.
I think you did a real
I'm
good.
looking forward to the groundbreaking.
So
we all are.
8C2,
8C2, this is the second part to that, and this again goes along with the moral obligations. They're calling it a support agreement of the County of Dickinson, Virginia. And basically what this outlines here, but I'll back up just a moment here. This $2 million loan is basically kind of structured like our Vecita loans whenever we're dealing with the third party. The IDA is charging Southwest Properties a lease payment, which is equal to the amount of the payment. So basically, Southwest Properties is paying this loan. It's just coming through the IDA as a lease payment and then straight on to VSBFA to pay the loan. What this agreement is for, and again, it's nothing legally binding to us, it lays out the steps that are taken if, each year the IDA sees there's a deficiency in making their payments. Then it tells the process on how the IDA comes to the county administrator with what their need is and that the board will consider it. But again, it's not binding or it doesn't obligate the board to actually do anything. It just more so lays out the steps on that. Mr. Mullins, who has worked a lot with this on the IDA side, has worked with these moral obligations before. And he said this is unique. He's not really seen it done this way before, but it's just the second part that they do. I think you've looked at that as well, Mr. Sturgill. So. And again, we're just asking for approval of the support agreement.
I make a motion that we do the support agreement also.
is there a second?
I'll second it.
Any other discussion or questions for Mr. Barton or Ms. Cronkite? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
As well, Ms. Clerk. 8D, this is a carryover from our public hearing. Larry, do you want to elaborate just briefly on what our tax levies are?
I'll be glad to.
and-
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And on this, as our tax levies, of course, as you mentioned at the beginning of the public hearing, there's no change to the proposed tax levies this year. Real estate is 60 cents per 100. Mobile homes is also 60 cents. Merchants capital, $10.50. Personal property, $1.85, and machinery and tools, $1.85. And again, no changes from recent years on that.
We have a motion in regard to the tax levies for the next fiscal year.
I make a motion that we approve the tax levy for the fiscal year
As advertised.
as advertised 2023, 2024.
Is there a second?
I'd like to second that we are leaving them as they were previously.
Yes. Any other discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Well, 8E, Mr. Barton.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Moving on to item 8E in your packet, we have a use of funds agreement. And again, this deals with Wildwood Recovery. And as you'll remember, as we were trying to mesh this together with all of our different funding sources, we're very grateful to partner with the Dickinson County PSA. And they've been a good partner to work with and using some of the excess coal severance funds that have came in recently. They've agreed to use up to $750,000 of those to extend the sewer service to this site. as well as it would be the installation of a sewer lift station and a forced main line. And with this agreement has been adopted by the PSA last week and the Dickinson County IDA last week. We're the last ones to adopt this, and we'll have, again, this is another one of the two parts. We've got the use of funds agreement here as number one, and then number two, we have an official resolution that Mr. Sturgill prepared on that. It kind of outlines the terms on how this works. And of course, I do want to point out, we talked about this at the other meeting. If you notice, it does reference to an Exhibit A in here, which is blank, and an Exhibit B in here, which is blank. And the reason being for that, this kind of outlines the financial terms. The A and B is going to be, once the engineers get the engineered plan and the plan design on this, we're working with the Lane Group on the engineering. We're, right now, they've been delayed, but we have got our site layout, and they are making some changes to that. And as soon as they get that, they will get the sewer design, and PSA, we want them to be very involved in this, because this is going to be their system. We want it to be designed in a manner that they are happy with and that they're going to service and upkeep it. Mr. Phillips and Ms. Phillips will be working together on this along with us and the Lane Group. And the way we done it at the PSA, they approved this agreement contingent upon Mr. Phillips's approval of these exhibits A and B.
So, for the rehab facility, their sewer is going to be a treatment plant or something?
No, ma'am, there's, the Georges Fork Sewer Project went out there, and it's actually
Yeah, I
serving
know,
the
so
other side of
it
the
comes back
road.
to the town of Clintwood?
It comes to the town of Clintwood, and what it is, we're building a sewer lift station that's gonna accommodate that with a large enough well capacity for a future expansion on that side. That way, if we do future expansion, we may have to upgrade some pumps, but for now, it'll handle that. And then the force main will take it over to the sewer line that's already in place. So,
Will the PSA keep up the lift station and all that?
yes, that'll be their property
It's their property.
on that, because sewer service will be provided by them, and the bill will
But
be
if it
paid
goes
to
to the town of
PSA.
Clintwood, I mean,
Yes, ma'am. And then they pay the town of Clintwood, they've got a separate agreement for the
Okay.
treatment costs on that.
And,
But what we'd like to ask Mr., I didn't mean to
No,
interrupt,
go
but
ahead.
when we approve this, we'll answer any questions you've got, but whenever we do approve this use of funds agreement, we would like that it be approved contingent upon Exhibit A and Exhibit B being to the satisfaction of the county administrator and county engineer. And of course, once we get that, we'll share all that back with you, but it just saves us from bringing those technical specs back to you as the board on that. So, if Lehman's fine with it, then we're good.
but this, what I was gonna say, and I know to the public, we're kind of breezing through this, and it's already been a long meeting. That's one reason I am, in a way, that we get these packets and we digest this, but this is another huge, piece here. And this was a complex piece that I know you worked a lot on, I know Dana worked a lot on, and we had to maybe, grease some wheels at the PSA, because they didn't necessarily maybe want to do this. And I'm not blaming nobody, I'm not saying, I'm just saying,
I know
this
it's
has
been a long
been hours
process.
and weeks and months of legwork by our people and us, and to get anything going. So this is not, I don't want this to be voted on as if this is some not important thing we're doing right now.
Right.
This has been a big deal.
It
I
has.
appreciate you bringing that up, because there's been a lot of work that's went into each piece of this, and we are going through them pretty quickly, but it represents weeks and months of work
Yeah,
sometimes. To get
years.
to this point, so
And
years
here-
sometimes.
Here's something else to add to that. Wasn't that public hearing about this whole project during the last meeting, or isn't this related to that, or is it
I'm trying to think
down in
back.
Chip Mill?
It's related to the Red Onion project, like if it develops more
Yeah.
To close the deal and develop the
Yeah.
entire Red Onion,
side.
Yeah.
hundreds of acres,
That's-
Larry and Dana and our team have done this. This is a
all
big
part
deal
of-
here.
Yeah, it's all part of the
Yeah.
big deal
Well-
we've been
It is.
working the whole
Each one
term.
of these pieces we need, to continue to expand. And
That's why I
30
wanted,
acres, I believe you put something on Facebook, which was a very good thing you put on
you
there.
had that public
About Red
hearing.
Onion Industrial Park, and it's 30 acres, is that what you said?
Right, there'll be 30 buildable acres. That side of the property, I believe, is a little over 90 acres. But once it's all said and done, there will be 3 pads that will be build ready, a 5, a 10, and a 15 acre pad on 3 different levels that will be ready for.
That is a big deal.
But my point of stopping this to, pat them on the back and us. You can't do any of it without sewer. And,
Yeah, we can't have anything out
and
there.
you know how the town's its own autonomous political subdivision, and they don't necessarily always want to do what we want them to do, and that's fine. And the PSA is its own autonomous governmental entity, and they don't always maybe want to do what we want them to do, and that's fine. What my point of stopping the meeting is to show how hard our people have worked to put this together.
This is
'Cause it's
not,
not easy. Nothing about any of this has been easy, and it's all been behind the scenes.
Well, see, you're actually
work
taking part
done
of
by them.
PSA money.
Well, that's
that
what I'm saying.
Was used,
So we had to do a
for-
lot of
projects.
stuff to get this done.
We started way back with Peggy and some of us and Ginger, and we visited two of the
Yeah.
facilities at Shelby and, Ron and all of us has worked together. We went to Kentucky and, visited facilities.
Met with the governor.
And that's the point I was trying to make, Rhonda, because that last meeting that I was at, had to attend by phone, they came here to sell to the world what we got coming.
yeah.
Yeah, they were
In the
here.
near future.
But what,
Well, and this project doesn't only benefit that, it opens
Yes.
the door for other projects, does it not?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yes,
the
sir.
sewer does.
my
Yeah.
whole point of pausing
Yeah.
and is
I'm glad
without
you did.
all of that celebratory stuff we done last month,
Without this.
doesn't happen without
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
Agreed.
So,
Right.
and initially, again, initially, this wasn't a given that was gonna happen. Because
Right,
there was people that maybe didn't wanna do this with us or whatever. But now it's happening, it don't matter, we're going forward.
Yeah.
We've got good people doing good stuff, and I'm very
Sherman, may I
happy.
make just one comment?
Yes.
You know, in my brief experience in economic development and being with the county, what I can say of all of these projects, you know, I was thinking about it today, and we have more projects going on, I think, than anyone in the public would be aware of, just because
More than the
of-
county's history.
Correct, because of all of these pieces. And ultimately, if you take a puzzle that is wide on both sides and you shake the box up and you throw the pieces on the table, what this board and your team, and I've been fortunate enough to join that team, has done, has taken that puzzle and put it together in a very difficult way, to be able to get something that I think is truly gonna be remarkable for this county. And so thank you for taking a moment to recognize that, because genuinely, it is hours and hours and hundreds of hours.
We could have wished through and
Better
wrote it on
spent,
it, but I
yes.
wanted to do that for you and Larry and
Yeah.
everybody, and us. Because
Thank you.
we've done a lot of meetings, and we've put a lot of time,
That was a good
and I made at
approach.
least one or two angry calls to try to get this done. You know, because, I mean, and that's part of it. Sometimes you need,
And we can that.
and you need niceties, and sometimes you need a little muscle.
There-
And we've
there-
all worked together to get this.
There has certainly been a huge collaboration in this county between multiple different entities that have all came together for the betterment of this county. And I think that it's, you know, it shows an advancing moving forward. I think that it shows that we are working as one unit and seeing the big picture and not working in siloed, you know, little compartments. And I think that it's very exciting.
I was just gonna add
Yes, sir.
two people that really need to be recognized here. Bud Phillips and Freddie Mullins. Those are two key people.
100%, yeah.
And Lehman's been
And
key in
Lehman
that as
And,
well.
and not to take away from what you and Larry have been doing.
Yeah.
you know.
Well, Larry,
Yeah.
whatever. Larry's done all, I mean, Larry has, everybody, I don't need to say anything else about Larry. Larry
Well, we-
Superman.
We support
Literally
the support, we
Superman.
appreciate the support of the board, because without the support of the board to have trust in this project and have the foresight to see what could happen in the county, none of this would happen either, to allow us to, you know, to give us the free rein to go out and work on this and do these things and put this together. And like Josh said, we've had a lot of special called meetings over these projects, and a lot of time we've come to y'all before, you know, it's on the table, it's off, you know, we've got budget issues, we've had this come up, and you've always supported us and helped us find a way to get through them, so we
Is
appreciate
there a
that.
motion?
I would like to make a motion that we pass this user fund agreement with the contingency that Exhibit A and B is added at the approval of our county
Is there
administrator.
a
County
second?
engineer.
I'll second it.
Any other comments? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye as well. Mr. Barton next.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. It's going to be in your addendum packet because this was late coming in. It's the first item, once you flip over the addendum. It's the resolution for development and construction of sewer lines and associated infrastructure. And according to our agreement, it had to be adopted officially by resolution by the Board of Supervisors. So it's basically the same thing here, just a resolution. We're adopting this agreement.
Make a motion that we pass the resolution for development and construction of sewer lines and associated infrastructure.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any other questions for Mr. Barton or discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. As well. And now,
I would like to thank them also for all the work that Freddie, actually PSA's done a lot of work on this, a lot of legwork also, and Dana and all of them that has worked to approve this. And without all of us approving this still couldn't go forward.
yes, ma'am.
Very well
That's
spoken.
right. Now for some more doom and gloom, Larry, you get all the praise now.
Now I got to answer this. That's right. So, all right. So, of course, item 8F is going to be Bearpin Pool, and of course, we've been working. David, again, I give credit here to David, Larry, and his staff. There's an 8F on your table from Robinson Restorations Incorporated. Last year we had the issues.
Go ahead, give a little history.
Yeah, last year we had issues with the pool. Of course, we got the pool open. Things were going well, and then all of a sudden we get this huge water bill where we're losing all this water. And, just giving the backstory here, we work, the board's very passionate, we want to keep this open because behavioral health done an excellent job for the second year in a row at operating the pool for us. It's an excellent opportunity for the children and adults in the county. Their prevention program was out, giving out resources, one of the best things I've ever seen. Then we get a leak in the pool, so, we try numerous things to fix it. We're unsuccessful, but we are able to get a gentleman from Pound who's a certified scuba diver that comes in, and Dave and I got together. We tried to get some ideas, and we kind of blocked the grates on the bottom of the pool as best we could, and then took some big rubber mats and then put some sandbags on top of those to try to hold it down. It slowed the water down enough so that we could keep it open the rest of the season. We could get the well water. We had some well water coming in to it to kind of keep the water we were losing without having a big water bill. So the goal was, once we got to winter, we drain the pool as we always do and make those needed repairs. So it's what David, Larry, and John had worked on. They'd done that. They plugged the lines in the bottom. They put plugs in them, sealed everything off good, put some water back in. Of course, they didn't fill it up. They're just using well water. They put enough in it to mark it, watch it. It was still leaking. They, drain it again, clean everything up good. There's one other small place that could be leaking. They cap that, fix it, and then they think, well, for safe measure, we're just going to pour the pits in. They poured the pits, the drains in with concrete, leveled everything off and stuff that way. Everything was just sealed, and they thought for sure that would fix it. Put water back in, again, losing water, over, we lost several feet over just a few days, it's going out very quick. They went over the pool, looked for any other cracks, anything else, any other signs of something we could be losing water, and couldn't find anything, any other thing. So David started reaching out to companies to come in and look at it because, again, it's an asset to the community. If we get someone in, a professional to come in and look at it, see what they could do. And, right now we've only got one that would come to this area. The others, wouldn't, but they said that basically we're going to have to resurface the entire pool on this to find that we're losing water somewhere through the cracks. It's a concrete and gunite pool. With the age on it, it's over 40 years old. It's never been resurfaced to my knowledge. And, we're losing the water from various small places, they think. There's also some concern about, where we're losing the water, if it could be washing out underneath the pool to create a void under there as well. So that's a concern that we're dealing with. But we just got this one quote back this morning of $83,000 to resurface the pool. And the timeline is a May start and a 3-week project. So it'd probably be late May, early June getting open if we went down this path. But while we were still trying to figure out what to do and which way to go, we knew with a repair like this, I had to get it on the agenda and get something out to the board so we can make a decision of what to do and where to go forward. I know Ms. Sluss has approached me with some other ideas. I'm maybe trying to find some funding for another location, another pool or whatever. But yesterday morning I met with the maintenance staff who do a phenomenal job, by the way. 3 men take care of everything in the entire county and keep everything going. Just recently we got hired and put in place, a custodian back at the Judicial Center. They were having to clean that building too in addition to their duties, but they've got a lot of projects going on. But we brainstormed yesterday morning, come up with one other idea, one other thing that we're gonna try, a patch. They were draining the water out, again yesterday and today to pull it back down, and get things clean good. We're gonna try one additional, patch around those drains and the new concrete and things, to see if we can get it down slowed enough to where, you know, we can get it open. If we go through with one of these repairs, we're gonna have, with this amount of money, we're gonna have to do a formal procurement to procure someone to come in and do it. And by the time we do the procurement and get someone lined up and in here, I'm afraid we're gonna miss the season. So, just wanted to get on your radar as to where we are and what the thought of the board is. You know, we're gonna try this other option. We'll definitely keep you updated as we go along. I don't know if you wanna put this kind of money in there, because at the same time, we do have concerns with the soil underneath the pool. If there could be a void where it's leaked this much water out, that
How
could
would we ever
fall
find
in.
that out, wonder, engineering wise?
I don't know, unless the people that repair it could go in with the
Like drill
some
down or
holes
something?
and put some cameras in
Becomes a
before they
liability
actually
issue if it
seal it or
caves in.
something. Or if, you know,
That
it's the
could
desire of the
happen.
board, you know, we
Could,
start
yeah,
looking
no.
for funding for another option and try to repair this and kind of nurse it along if we keep it open another
I guess we could
year or
bore.
so. I mean, just to kind of talk about publicly here, because everybody wants to see the pool open and they want to see it, but I feel like the public needs to know what we're up against here. You know, we're trying our best to get it open.
So what is
We need-
the, what is the what is the idea y'all got?
to
I would say
reseal,
the
because
football
where
stadium.
where the concrete had, where they poured the concrete, put the drains in and stuff, you know, instead of the drains, maybe it was a leak inside of there. And of course, pouring the two cold concretes together and stuff, you know, there's still gonna be somewhat of a void to, get some additional material they'd found to go back over and reseal around that.
When will you know about that, do you think? An
Well, they're-
estimate?
Well, the estimate, we've got the estimate
Oh, I'm
today,
not talking about this,
83,000.
I'm talking about what you think might could be.
By first of the week, we'll know if it's gonna work, cause they're,
I
you know,
really,
getting
I
drained.
want to see the pool open really
Me too.
badly, because it's an asset to the whole county, because the behavioral health is, they've been doing such
do
a
a phenomenal
great
job.
job running that pool.
Yeah, I
But
think
it
it's
is an
great.
old pool, I mean, 40 years old, and I don't know.
And
I
it's
think we
never-
just wait and see.
I think we do that, but at the same time.
We do
I
need to be
think-
considering what it's gonna cost if it costs more. We've had the town express that they plan to do more recreation equipment, recreation stuff where the splash pad is.
Right.
We have Clintwood Elementary coming, hopefully in the future if we can negotiate that.
Well,
Right.
I had talked to Danny Lambert.
I mean, I don't disagree with anything you say.
I mentioned to
Yeah.
put the new pool up here at the Ralph Cummins Stadium along with a lazy river. It's something that we need to be looking at, and he's very open to that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's something but at the meantime, we got to worry about this summer. I mean, I hate to keep the pool closed.
I
Now, we're
hate to
trying-
tell you, all that was done by that recreation grant, and it's like Greenwood up there. We can't get rid of it unless it's approved by the federal recreation funds that we received back in 1980.
I think
You
we need to
talk
present,
about
that's a
putting
good
the pool
point, Ms.
up at
Willis.
Ralph
It
Cummins
is, but I
and
think with the
Stadium.
amount of damage you're seeing, I think
No,
that
you
will
can't.
put
You
it
have
as
to
a
get
dead
permission
issue.
from
I think
them.
so, the amount of money
You
we have to
can't
go
do
into it.
Because it's federal grant.
Well, let's
We need
wait
to
and
see if
see. I mean,
Deborah-
my position is, personally,
I'm
see
talking
what
about
you
building-
figure
I'm talking
out.
about building a new pool.
What, if it's bad
We
news,
can't
I
get
mean,
it.
we'll call a
We'll
special
share you as
meeting.
soon as we
can't
know,
get
I'll
it.
call
I'll set something out.
I mean, I'll call a special meeting and we can vote on whether to pay the money or not.
At the time, when we put it on the agenda, we thought this was the only option, but we did put one other idea that we're.
All right, so we're gonna wait and see.
Yep, we're gonna
I
wait on
mean,
this.
that's my
just
suggestion.
information.
Yeah, let's wait and see, and hope and pray that works.
Yeah.
Okay, that brings us, Mr. Robbins, you've waited very patiently. Come on up, sir.
I know the feeling.
I guess most everybody probably knows me. My name's David Robbins. I've lived up on the ridge since 1965, 58 years. And I was about 10 or 11 years old. And right now I'm the chairman of the Special Education Advisory Committee for the handicapped kids. And also chairman of the committee for the funding for the vocational rehabilitation, the vocational school. And I send every one of y'all an email. I assume, everybody get the email?
I didn't get
Yes,
one.
sir.
I didn't get one from you.
You get one from me?
Or did you send it?
These
think
computers
Larry
lie.
spread it around.
These computers must lie, then, don't they? It said
Well,
you got one.
I might be wrong, honey.
Instead, you got one.
I think
did.
It
David
came from a
sent it
scan. It was
also.
like a scan address,
Oh,
I
we
think
got- I
is
got
what
it.
it said.
Oh, it's on the, you sent it, Larry?
And I had written my
Ms.
check, I
Robinson.
know it's not being picked
Yeah, I
up
sent
here,
Larry
but
one
I
too.
written mine.
Huh? Okay, David, I believe you.
You got it?
But there's yours.
Put your own personal name on it. Anyway, the reason I'm here is to ask for some funds for our kids. We've got 302, over 302 handicapped kids in our school system. To my knowledge, I've never asked for any money for, well, of course, now it's called I-Can Day, because y'all know years ago, 4 or 5 people got together and decided they didn't like Halloween, they got it approved. And that's about the way it happened. So anyway, now we gotta call it I-Can Day or make up some name. So we call it I-Can Day. It's been that way for 20 years. But anyway, we have a lot for the kids. I mean, this is one of the things the kids really love. I mean, they really love this. As I said in my report to each of you, emailed each one of you, these kids compete with each other, and it's so wonderful. You need to come. All of you need to come. Every one of you here need to come to I-Can Day.
I've worked about 5.
I know you have. That's the reason I said everyone. You're not the only one not being here though. But I'm just saying, well, so this time we're gonna have it over here at Food City, beside of the Food City Park there. And we didn't want to, but we didn't have no choice. The school up there, of course, is being built, and that's fine. And they told us we couldn't go to San Lefty Elementary because they said they shut the water off and the sewer off, but the bill's fine. But anyway, we was gonna put some porta potties down there, which was free for the kids. And one of the teachers didn't like that idea. So she didn't think that was, I don't she said sanitary, but said she didn't think it looked good or whatever. Anyway, I said, well, we're gonna have an Easter egg hunt on the 8th down there. We're gonna have the porta potties down there then. And you know, when you take a kid in the porta potty, you take somebody with you. They don't go by themselves. You know, you always have a teacher, you all have a parent that goes with them. We always make sure of that. But anyway, so I guess Sand Lake's out. But that was a great place, an ideal place. Then we were told that the bus makes a route around that field when they leave. I don't know why they can't back up and pull out and leave, but evidently they can't. And so they've got a route around there. And so she said that would be a problem. But they're inside the fence, so I don't see how that'd be a problem.
Well, let me just stop you. Are you looking for a place?
No, I'm just telling you the places we couldn't go to. And we're constricted over here to go over here.
Where do you want to go? Is that where you want to go?
I'd like to, but we can't. Because they say,
We got a place right here. Do you want to go here or there?
I'm gonna go to one right here beside
All right.
food. That's what I say, that's where we're
But
going.
I mean, if you ask us, we got a place. All you gotta do is call me. We would have made this place.
There's some liability about that, isn't there?
Well, we'd have made
All
it
right.
happen. We
You
would
know
have
what
had
it
this
is?
field and
You
these
know right over
I
bathrooms.
was
here? You know
told
right over
that-
here, where we had soccer?
Yes.
Right there's a perfect place.
Is that where you want to be?
But it ain't got a fence.
Well, where do you want to be?
No,
And I'll
I'm
make
just
it
saying,
happen.
later on, I'd have to maybe consider putting a field there for the, for the handicapped kids for
So
the,
you've got it figured out for now, though.
oh yeah, it's
Okay.
over here. But I'm figuring out now I want money for
You
it.
need some money. How much money do you
Now
need?
you're talking.
Well, let's cut to how much money do you need?
Well, like I said, I asked each one of you for $500. I don't think that's too much to ask for a kid, $2,500 a year for handicapped kids in our community, for schools.
Now, David, I sent you back a message that I don't have $500 left because I've had flooding issues.
Don't y'all have administrative fund?
We do, but mine's out.
$500.
Nobody has money in administrative fund.
Listen, David, I
No,
want
we
to,
bought
I want
drain
to,
pipes.
I've been attending the disability, where they're forming a disability
The
for
the Shining Stars.
the Shining Stars.
I
I've
know
been
it.
attending those meetings there, and I want to express to people that they're having a prom
This
for
weekend.
disability Saturday, and I'm gonna try to go, Lord be willing, volunteer and help.
My daughter's going.
Yes, okay,
She's in
Brandy.
it. She's in it.
And so I gave, I designated $200 for that prom. Also, this board has, I also this board used our ARPA funds for a handicap so that people with disabilities can swing at 3 different locations. Now, I will give a personal donation to this, but I'm like Shelby, I don't have but $282
Well, let's
in
just
my-
wait just a second. This is the end of the fiscal year, so all of our discretionary accounts are low. Finish telling us how much you need and what you need it for, and I've got a solution.
Okay.
What was Phipps Foundation?
Well, we need it for the kids, you know, we have to
Who's
buy.
gonna spend it? You?
Well, the committees, the school.
What's the name of the
I talked to
committee?
Rebecca Fuller.
Who's on
last
the
night.
committee?
I
Who's
can't-
on the committee?
Rebecca Fuller.
Well, there's several of us on the committee. I'm chairman of it, and we got, of course, Denisha Edwards, of course, you know, she can't be there now.
Do y'all have a
because
bank account? It's, I
she's sick. Oh,
can't
yeah,
day.
yeah, it's to the school board, yeah. Mhm.
Madam Chair, or Madam Vice Chair, I'm gonna relinquish the chair, please, to you, and I'm gonna make a motion.
Well, let me ask you this.
All right.
Doesn't the school have a lot of sponsors for this?
It won't.
School,
The
that's a joke.
Huh?
Shelby, that's a joke. School
I
won't
have
give
Rebecca
anything
Fuller
out.
like
Madam
that.
Vice Chair, I make a motion that we appropriate $2,500 to the ICANN committee for their ICANN Day this spring. Mr. Barton will find it.
Mr. Barton, is this in the budget?
No, it's not a line item in the budget.
Mr. Martin, does the school have funding for this also? Do they have sponsors for this?
In the past, when I was at the school, like you said, the committee handled ICANN Day, but they did have corporate sponsors and stuff, is my understanding at the time. That's
Do you
right.
have corporate sponsors now?
Well, we have.
Do you have any other sponsors?
Yeah, we had several sponsors. Well, I had several. Of course, this COVID thing run us about 2 or 3.
Well, how much does it take to put on that program?
It takes several.
They buy shirts for 300 kids, right? You buy
Yeah.
T-shirts.
Yeah.
That's gonna be
And we buy
$50.
ribbons.
Indian Lions Club and Kiwanis Club help some too.
Yeah, yeah.
All of
And we
them.
buy ribbons for kid, and every
Yeah.
kid, no matter
But
what
this
place
money
they
gives
finish,
you
they
a
get a
good
ribbon.
start. I understand this helps give you a good base start, and you can go to your Kiwanis Club, Lions Club, say, we've got 25, can you give us another 1,000? Can you give us 500? This is a good start. We found money for everything else. We give raises to constitutional officers. I know there's different funds that money's come from. If this board can't come up with 2,500 to help these kids, then what are we doing? My motion, Madam
Then you
Vice
better come
Chair,
up
is
with
to
2,500
find the
to help
money.
the Shining Stars. I'm for getting the money, but at the same time, the Shining Stars has got a GoFundMe page on Facebook. I think they've raised maybe
Actually, matter of
2,000.
fact, we might have had some extra money from the treasurer's raises, didn't we? Because there was 20-some, almost $30,000 that she had gotten from delinquent tax collections, wasn't it? So we appropriated how much out of that would have went to the general fund for raises for that one office. So there's the money, right? You thank your treasurer.
How did that come into this
How about, you
discussion?
go-
Well, that
how
was
about-
$30,000 extra that she had said she had.
I thought we were talking about ICANN Day.
Huh?
I thought we were
Well,
talking
you're
about.
asking where the money's coming from. I'm telling you where the money is going to come from, and I've got a motion on the floor.
Here's the thing, it's for a great cause, I have no questions there. But it's out of budget, is it something that's gonna break our back? Probably not, but we seem to have this conservative board that I sit on, seems to find it very easy to
Well, don't argue with him.
spend the budget money.
Argue with me. He's here asking for money.
I'm not arguing with him.
Well, you're looking at him. Look at me.
I don't know.
No, I don't wanna look at you. We
Well, I won't look
find
at
it
you, but I have to
very,
hear you.
we find it very easy. We spent $320,000 last quarter outside our budget for raises across the county. So if we're gonna throw anything under the bus, we should throw ourselves under the bus, not the treasurer for collecting his tax money. So I'm not saying I disagree with giving the $2,500, but I'm trying to point out, we seem to really, the easy solution is, let's just spend more money.
Madam Chair, I passed it to you. My point was, since somebody's not smart enough to understand it, is there was about 27,000, you can correct me on the number, that had been sitting from a tax sale that had been unspent, that a constitutional officer asked for raises for her employees from. And we approved it, and it
You
wasn't
did
the
too.
full amount. Let me finish. There was at least $2,500 from that left. So my motion is to use that excess that we didn't use for the raises for that office to pay for this. That's my motion. I'm not throwing anybody under the bus. I'm telling facts.
So was that money put back into the general fund?
It was supposed to go to the general fund.
I think it was called a bonus, but, you know.
It was a bonus, not a raise. It was a
Well, I
bonus.
appreciate that
But another
clarification.
office had also got bonuses.
Okay.
So, yeah.
So you
Well,
want
what-
bonuses, we can give bonuses but not support special needs kids.
Oh, wait, nobody's talking about, well, I support them, I'll take $500 out of my personal account and give to them. Or you, will you? I will.
Well, I mean, that's what, to me, you should have done. You should have contacted each one of us individually.
Well, we're broke now though, like what you said.
Well, I wrote my
I did
check.
contact each one of you.
You did, I wrote my check. You
I know,
haven't
I
picked-
said, you should have
you haven't
contacted each
picked it
individual,
up.
I did.
I'm saving
Yeah,
mine
picked
because
it
I
up.
got things lined up.
Wrote your
How
check.
much you got left?
I mean, I had
I don't
Cindy
know.
write my check for you, and I told you how much I could give, that I had left.
Let the motion fail.
Well, I don't know what you had left, that's what you give.
I'll come for a
I
I
had-
didn't
second.
know all the
That's all I
other
had
stuff. I wasn't
left.
told all the other stuff that you told me.
Listen, I have
I
had
believe you, but
flooding.
I'm just saying I wasn't told all that.
Well, I gave $200.
I told you when I sent you
No,
a
I meant the
message.
$100,
You
yeah,
got ARPA meeting Thursday?
but that's all I was told. But that's fine.
What you got the date set?
April 21st.
So we have the motion on the floor without a second yet.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna call for. We have a motion on the floor. Are there a second for that?
Well, I'm like him, if we can spend money on this, we ought to be able to come up with $2,500. But I also think you need to give $2,500 to the Shining Stars, which I'll make another, can I make a secondary motion?
I don't know, and let me interject here. The Shining Stars is not established yet. We're still working on that.
Well,
Right
that's
now,
true.
what Ms. Turner's doing is a personal thing with the GoFundMe. We're still in the process of getting established and set up, so.
Well, anybody in the county, I urge you to contribute to the Shining Stars, because it is gonna be.
Can I, just to clarify my point, what was that number from the tax sales? What was that figure?
I don't
Well, I'm
remember
gonna check
right
my email real quick.
So, what are you saying? I'm not a little bit understanding. So you got $2,700 left over?
We've got excess funds put back in a fund to use for things that we need in the office and stuff. I approached the board and asked.
Well, there
for
it is,
one-time
David.
bonus,
Yeah,
one-time
there you go.
bonus.
But isn't,
Well, I know you got the bonus, but you have some left over?
Yeah, we still have some in excess funds.
How much?
How much?
are you notifying?
There it is.
Are you notifying people that,
How much?
pay taxes, sold their property for more than they
You
owe
know how
tax?
much?
Are you notifying them
don't know how
that
much
they
is it?
are entitled to some of that
I
money?
don't have that.
Well, who knows? Who does
I
know?
can give it to you later. I don't.
That's
have it.
irrelevant to what David is asking.
No. This is a fiscal conversation. The debate we're having is it fiscally something we can do?
I'll second it.
So if those are general fund monies. Those are not discretionary constitutional
I
officer
understand that.
monies.
So
Am I right?
All this
I
trouble.
will second it.
So there's general fund monies.
So do you have the money in hand, Mr. Barton?
You disagree, Mr. Childress?
It's in the account, yes, ma'am.
Oh,
Can make a motion, can I? Can raise my eyebrows if I want to.
You can do whatever you
tell
want.
me I can't take actions here as a, with my rights.
I'm not telling you anything. I'm asking your
United States
opinion.
citizen. Pop my head, whether it is or not.
I don't know why we got off on this, but to her,
Governmental funds and-
huh? Because it don't have nothing to do with what David's asking
That
for.
may be your best
David,
attempt
I'll
to
give
people
you
this money.
out of my, I have a 282.
Please,
But I will
please
give you
take
Give me
action.
what you
$500.
can, just give me what you can, okay?
Okay.
All right, let's try to get back to order with our discussion. We have a motion on the floor by Josh to use money from the, excess funds from the tax sale.
That's held in some mystery bank account in the treasurer's office.
And Rhonda has seconded to give ICANN Days a $2,500 donation.
But I'm not specifying it come from the treasurer's office. I was second on the, it comes from the general
Well,
fund.
that's right. Well, that would be general
Well,
fund.
I know it's up to Larry to find money in the
Very
general
good.
fund.
That's right.
So I'm going to second his motion, we give him $2,500.
Okay, any other discussion before vote.
I just think that the ones of you that have the $500 in your account, I think you should give it out of your account. I do not have it.
I don't have it, but I'm
Well,
willing.
we know where it is.
Do any of y'all have 500? I can look at the sheet and see.
I've got $282.
Yeah, I have 500,
All right, let's go.
I have over that. We have a moving second on the floor. All in favor, please say aye.
Yes.
Any opposed? Aye, yes, too.
And I'm aye, but I'm not
3-2.
against the effort, but
3-2.
we sure seem to find it, this board finds it easy to spend taxpayer money.
I don't think
got
that's
it.
a true statement.
I ain't been trying to cause no trouble, but I appreciate it.
All right, chairs back to me.
Yes, you got it.
Taxpayer.
I would, wait, Mr., I got a motion.
Go ahead.
I would like to make a motion that we fund the
I didn't
McClure
vote no. I did not
Kiwanis
vote.
heat pump.
Well, we're not on the, it's on the
I didn't do
agenda, so
anything.
that's a non-agenda piece. This is
Well,
on the
we're-
agenda. So it's not a proper motion.
I don't know where you
All
got
right, we go to item 8I. Item 8I, approval letter for school construction grant. Larry, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. In your packet, in the addendum packet, got the little tab on the top, I
They
think.
have none.
We have a letter. The first item we have is a letter from the board to the school division that I'm asking for approval for tonight. Then behind that, we have all the supporting information from the schools, and then we have the superintendent's email at the back. So I'm gonna give some history on this for those on the board. I know we've talked about it, you're aware of it, but for the
Randy, I
public and
hope
those
you
that
have
are
a good
listening here, basically, at Ridgeview with the new school that's just built, the new elementary school, there's enough capacity for Sand Lake Elementary and Irvington Elementary to go into this August. That'll leave Clintwood Elementary, of course, Clintwood Elementary's pre-K and kindergarten students are going, and then they've got a system in place for, requesting, if your child be put on a waiting list or get up there. In order to get Clintwood up there, they're gonna need some additional classrooms. And they have been doing some work on this. They've got some renderings and some proposals, and they're looking at about $5.8 million to build the needed rooms onto the school. Again, we've got the original school, then they've done the addition that they're working on now as part of the construction. This would be another addition on there. At the same time, it would require a little bit of renovation on the middle school side that's in this amount, because they would have to reconfigure grades to get everybody up there. So with that $5.8 million, I spoke with Ms. Robinson early last week, and they don't need any, they're not asking for any money from the Board of Supervisors. When I think we spoke maybe Tuesday, she was telling me they're applying for this grant from the state. It's a 30%, it'll cover 30% of the cost. And right now, in the regular state budget to the schools, this current fiscal year we're in is the first year they've started putting construction money in there. So they've got their construction money for this year, their construction money that's coming in next year. They have some ESSER funds that are left over, and they're gonna ask, with part of their carryover, they're projecting to move $500,000 into the construction fund. And by combining all these pots of money, they can come up with enough money, they feel, to build this addition that needs to be, and it would take approximately 1 year to finish it. So, this August, Sand Lake and Irvington will be going to Ridgeview. Next August, if this all goes through and if they can get this grant, then it's anticipated that Clintwood can move up there as well. Now, Ms. Robinson contacted me Thursday afternoon and let me know the superintendent's memo that's in this packet we just looked at had sort of changed the application guidelines. Now they require a letter from the Board of Supervisors, from the governing body, that states that the Board of Supervisors will not reduce the amount of local, they will not reduce the percentage of local revenues that are given to the schools. Now, that don't mean it's gonna be level funding, it don't mean anything, but it means looking at our local revenues, what those are, what the percentages we're giving this year, and you have to maintain that throughout the construction process, which is only anticipated to be 1 year. So, as we spoke, I spoke with Ms. Robinson and with Mr. Curtis Ellswick and Scott Mullins, their attorney. We had some conversations Thursday evening. We spoke some Friday. Haiti and I have talked today, yesterday, as we work through this. And I'm trying to give the context for everybody here, everything that's going on with this. But also, Ms. Robinson and myself had a phone conversation on Friday with Mr. Kent Dickey, who is the state superintendent for budget and finance. And I had some questions for him as far as, definition wise, how this ties back with, to make sure I was understanding correctly as I look at the formula and look at how this works, what their definition of local revenues was. Because you have to look at certain things. I'll give an example, like in our budget for next year, we have a $1.5 million Trammell planning grant in there. And of course, that money's coming through DHCD. It's given to the county, but we can only use those funds to fund this Trammell project. We can't give any of those to the schools. So just making sure, definition-wise, those things are excluded. The money's coming from the comp board that goes to the constitutional officers. Those are excluded. The local funding is, as I thought, but I wanted to verify that, just defined as those funds that the Board of Supervisors has control and authority over that can be used, that could be spent for the schools or at their discretion on that. So when we look at that, some changes in funding between the 2 years, we can meet that criteria on that. We can, even if, we don't know where our budget's going to be right now, we're very early in the budget process, but just trying to look at worst case scenario. Right now, the schools are funded at RLM. If next year, worst case scenario, they're funded at RLM, can we make the statement that we will not reduce the percentage of local revenues as given to the schools? And that is correct, we can, because of the reduction in some other areas and local revenues that we're seeing. We've got about a 1.77% more that we're funding them next year, even at RLM on that. So we can make that statement and we can do that. And that's what's required of us in order for them to continue with this application and to make it a more favorable application, because it is a competitive grant. It is scored. When this came out, before we went to Richmond, I'd had a conversation with folks from Davenport, David and Roland, on this, and they felt like they'd done kind of a scoring sheet for me, what they thought the schools would score on this. And according to those guys, they feel like the schools stand a really good chance of getting this year, because right now they're looking at the existing buildings. They're looking at things with Sand still in operation, Irvington still in operation, and Clintwood still in operation. Irvington being the oldest building and Sand needing some work and things, it kind of helps them score a little higher. So they feel like they've got a strong application for doing this. And again, if everything comes through with this grant, then they will not need any funding from the Board of Supervisors, but they do need a letter, committing that that's what we'll do. And that's what this top letter is that we're asking for approval for tonight. And at the same time, in our conversations that we've had individually, and there's been some concern about, what'll happen with the existing schools, the existing buildings. Ms. Robbins and I have talked a couple of times today about that. She shared an email with me back and forth and with the chair, Mr. Raznick of the school board, on that they intend, there's some issues at Irvington with the title they got to work through with Scott and things, but they intend Clintwood and Irvington both, once that be resolved, that they feel like within 6 months of the school closing and out of school, that property could be transferred to the Board of Supervisors. So like we discussed before, if we knew that property was coming to us, even though we have nothing planned, nothing in store, it would give us the ability to look ahead. What can we do with it? Can we try to find some grant funding, whatever? So the schools are working with us on that side as well. So I do recommend that we approve this letter and get this to them. The application is due on March 31st. On this, it will help them have a stronger application, and I think it would benefit everybody in the county if all the kids were there in one place. It's going to help the schools overall. I would think, they didn't tell me this, but I'm just saying this on overall operations costs if everything is kind of consolidated together. And I think it's kind of a win-win for everybody. It's kind of fair to everybody as far as, everybody's kind of giving up their school then and having to go to one central place. But I'll stop there and see if anybody has any questions. I'll try to answer those.
No, it's your recommendation to pass
It
this.
is my recommendation that we
And I
pass this.
appreciate
letter.
the extra work. This was something kind of out of the left field. I appreciate the extra work you done on this. My vote's to pass this personally. Is there any other discussion or motion?
No, I make a motion that we pass it because she can't apply for the grant unless we approve it, can't she?
She can't apply, but the application will not be as strong.
Not be
It's
strong
if
unless
we
we
don't.
approve it.
Any other questions
I
on
make a
this?
motion that we approve.
I'm glad that Mr. Barton went ahead and worked
Extra.
and working towards these schools coming back to the county in a promptly manner that we can benefit, that tagged along with this. I appreciate that.
Is there, Ms. Willis, you make the motion?
I did make the
Is
motion.
there a second?
I think Ron
Yeah,
seconded.
Okay, I'm sorry. Any other questions or discussion? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Aye as well.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
And I have lost my.
Number 9,
Item 9, okay, does anybody want to make a motion in regard to the closed session piece?
Yeah, I'll make a motion that we go into closed meeting, section A, section 2.2-3711A1, 1 personnel, all departments. B, section 2.2-3711A5, 1 economic development update. And then on our amendum, it is section 2, closed meeting, section 2.2-3711A8, consultation with legal counsel.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Any other discussion? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye as well. We're now in closed session. All right, we are now at a closed session. Is there a certification of the closed session portion of the meeting?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we only discuss those issues that we previously went into closed session for.
Thank you, Ms. Willis. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
All right, I have a motion and second for certification of closed session. Ms. Willis, how do you vote?
I vote aye.
Ms. Sluss?
Aye.
Mrs. Kaiser? Mr. Peters?
Yes.
Yes for me as well, Madam Clerk. The closed session is certified. Are there any motions or votes coming out of closed session? I don't believe we have any unless somebody has one they want to make.
I don't think so.
All right, then that will bring us to item 12. I'm glad we got this wrapped up. I didn't think we were going to be this
Not
early,
10
frankly.
o'clock.
Ms. Willis, I know it's unfair maybe to start with you every time, but it's just right
That's
to left.
okay.
Do you have anything?
No, I've already complimented Dana Cronkite and Mr. Barton and Mr. Phillips and Mr. Freddie Mullins for all the work that they done on the sewer and the rehab and the severance tax funds.
Ms.
And I
Sluss?
still,
I want to
I'm
make
sorry, I
me,
didn't mean to cut you off. I'm
that's
sorry.
all right. But other than that, I'm fine.
I'll second what Shelby said, and I also want to make mention to all of us and people out there that they're having a disability prom this Saturday night, starting at 6 o'clock up at Ridgeview High School. And the day before, which is March the 31st at 4 p.m., they're asking if you can come and help them decorate. They would appreciate it. I've attended 2 or 3 meetings, and I think it's a very good thing. They're going to have a baseball team, team this spring and summer, and they're going to play up at the Little League in Clintwood. They decided there because it has a hard-packed clay surface, like for wheelchairs. So if you have extra money or I think it's going to be a wonderful thing for people to participate. I've been blessed to not have a disability child, but I can only imagine if I did. Or my heart goes out to them, and I want everybody to try to help to make this. It's called the disability prom up at Ridgeview High School, starting at 6.
Good job, Ms. Kaiser.
I don't really have anything other than I'm just glad to see progress coming to play in our county, getting things started rolling, and trying to see some betterment for our citizens.
Thank you, Mr. Peters.
Been a long night. I just will add to earlier, we
Thank you for listening.
got a little heated on the ICANN Day stuff. I will tell you from personal experience, it's a great cause. I've been participated in it through the Lions Club in the past. But my biggest concern is we're setting a precedence. So I would say to anyone out there, Little League, what else is there, band? All these different organizations that kind of come to the supervisors for discretionary money each year. Just get on the agenda and put in your request and put it before the board. And who knows, you may get lucky. Thank you.
Well, it has been a long meeting. I appreciate Mr. Belcher coming again. I know I've probably stroked his ego, but he has been a huge help, and he's somebody that'll respond and to your text anyway. And we all, especially me personally, get so frustrated with the road concerns because I like to be able to fix something. And we can't a lot of times. Peggy, everybody keep Miss Kaiser in your prayers. She's having her surgery on Monday. Peggy, if there's anything you need, we'll all help you in any way with your district or any. I know you don't need it, but if you do, we're here for you. And I know, please keep Beth in your prayers as well, Peggy's daughter, as she undergoes serious treatment. And Mr. Peters, I don't frankly disagree with anything you said. It does set a bad precedent, and that's something I think moving forward, we have got to tell these organizations that we've got to do this during budget cycle. And so nothing you said do I disagree with or is wrong. However, I'm not going to not try to fund I Can Day. So that's just where I'm at with that. But you're right. I'm not arguing with anything you just said. You were absolutely right. So anyway, it's been a productive meeting, in my opinion. We put the stamp on a lot of positive work that Mr. Barton and Ms. Cronkite and the people we've hired to do stuff. We've put a stamp, and hopefully in the summer, it's gonna be sealed and delivered, all their work and fruits. So, Peggy, I do sincerely pray for your family.
I appreciate it.
Okay, I hope it
I
goes well.
appreciate it.
Let us know. All those, anybody in favor of adjourning, wanna make a motion?
I make a
to
motion,
adjourn?
we adjourn.
There's a second.
I second it.
All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Ayes, well.